TNA is the best wrestling in the whole world.
You've never seen anything like this on Spike TV.
And I didn't come here to see a grown man dressed up like a doctor pulling things out of another man's ass.
Amen!
D-Boys, get the games. Their careers are already dead. They don't need another lawsuit. Who are you, a stalker? Every time I start talking, you start busting my interviews. Stalking you? Always.
This is BS! This sucks! I've lost my objectivity and I don't give a damn!
Welcome everybody to You've Got to Be Kidding Me, episode number 42. We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. On this episode, we are covering TNA in the month that is November 2005 up to Genesis 2005. I'm Garrett Kidney. I'm joined by Liam Jones. Liam, how are you doing?
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty okay.
Oh, the way that your voice trailed off there implied that that was a bold-faced lie.
Well, it usually is. You know, covering and masking the deep sadness within us all, I'm doing pretty okay.
Mm-hmm. Say relative. You always just throw in relative and then people don't question it.
Yeah, I'm here with my friend. We're going to talk about some TNA wrestling. How could I not be okay?
Me and one of my friends have it's become basically a code word for when we know that one of us isn't doing really good, where if anyone sort of, shut up truck and or plane, if we're in a public situation and we're asked oh, how are you doing today? And one of us says living the dream, we know that we're in a deep-seated depression.
Set off the alarm bells.
Yeah, if you hear that, you know something's wrong.
Now everyone is going to go back and listen to the previous 41 episodes we've done. Find the instance in which in the intro you've said, live in the dream. And it's like, oh no.
I have before.
I can hear you saying it. So you've definitely said it, I think, even on the show and not just
I have said it on
I
the
ask
show.
you how you're doing. So there you go. Go find Liam saying live in the dream and find out when he was most depressed while recording a podcast.
They're he said it for 40 of the intros.
It's actually your catchphrase. It's not do the damn thing. It's actually live in the dream.
Except for the first episode.
Wow, it all went downhill from there. So, nothing much going on with you?
What's going on with me? It's been a year since we recorded.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I went to All In.
How was that?
It was cool. There was a TNA chant. That's the most important part pertinent to
Did you
this
start
podcast. I didn't start the TNA chant, though I did partake in the TNA chant.
The only chant all night that you did.
Was it the only one? No, I sang Jarrett's song. Does that count?
Was it a chant?
I think some other people were also singing My World, though I did include the He Ain't Dead, He Ain't the Rock line, like a true OG TNA guy.
You don't strike me as a chant guy at a wrestling show.
Not particularly. It depends on my mood. There's times where I'm feeling boisterous, and I might. And then times where it's like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and watch a wrestling show.
In the limited amount of wrestling shows I've gone to, I've almost exclusively started chants. And it is mostly when it's someone in the ring that I feel bad for the crowd being quiet.
You're just giving them a helping hand?
Yeah, well, it's when I went to the Tamashi shows, it wasn't necessarily quiet, but I was like, it's fucking Shingo. I have to make it noisy 24/7. And the Godo match, I'm like, I have to just keep starting chants for Shingo and Godo because I need them to know that someone cares. Someone knows the significance of this moment.
They didn't come all the way to Australia just for crickets?
They weren't, it wasn't crickets, they were getting, people at the wrestling show reactions. Where it was they're into it and they're making noise, but I was like, I need them to know that I know.
It's especially worse in smaller venues when people die a death.
Well, yeah, you feel so bad for them. And the worst part is that stupid shtick wrestling is what gets over most in the small venues.
Yeah, maybe based on Adam Cole and MJF, maybe that's what gets over in all wrestling? I don't know. But
yeah, wrestling's dead.
It is. It might be. It's doomed. Sports entertainment has killed us off.
That should be the new Wrestling Is promotion. Wrestling is dead.
It's going to be the name of our Patreon company, actually, when we launch it.
It's not a bad name. Wrestling is Dead is a good brand. We should trademark that.
With Paul London and cheerleader Melissa.
Got another plane?
Are you being, surveilled?
It's World War III.
All right, how many planes did you hear before you clicked record in the podcast?
0.
And there's been 2 in the 5 minutes since you clicked record in the podcast.
I'm just as shocked as you are.
Do you think there are people trying to get illicit access to the podcast early?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Being hacked by Russians flying overhead.
With our 3% Australian listenership.
The stats recently suggest there is more Australian listeners than Irish listeners now, which didn't used to be the case.
Ah, we've overtaken.
You've become a bigger draw in your home country, so well done.
Thank you. You know, when we do the Wrestling is Dead series and there's one show in Melbourne and one show in Cork, you know, we'll know which one will draw bigger.
I think we have actually a requirement to go to the hot Impact Wrestling town of Wagga Wagga, actually, but...
Ooh. Fine, we'll do a tour. And that's why you should be on the Patreon and donating through Red Circle. It's because we can run Wrestling is Dead.
Yeah, it's a smooth segue as any, I guess. Two, you can head to tnachat.com/patreon.com/kidding me. No, they're two different things.
Well, that's one really long link.
tnachat.com/patreon.com/kidding me. The slash there was actually to indicate two separate addresses as opposed to a slash within the address, which is perhaps
that means
more
you now
common
have
parlance.
to buy the full link just in case.
I don't think I could do that. I think I'd have to start... No, I might be able to. I'd have to put the webpage on tnachat.com, I guess.
We can find a way.
Either way, you can go to tnachat.com or patreon.com/kidding me, where you can get our watch along of Genesis 2005, our watch along of Bound for Glory last month, and the first Impact as well, and all the other watch alongs we've done since then. You can also get our ongoing series covering Lucha Underground. You can get our ongoing series covering Reign Takers, New Japan Pro Wrestling from 2013. All of our other series that are complete now, including the 2010 Monday Night War, including Global Force Wrestling, including Ring Cat King, including Wrestling Society X, including 2012 PWG. There is so much content there now for the low price of $5 or $10, depending what tier. Or if you want to jump in, the $1 tier, you can get show notes, you can get an ad-free episode just for $1, as well as our star ratings. So value for money, many tiers. Give us money. Patreon.com/kidding me. tnachat.com.
Very good. That's professionalism right there.
I think that is, bar the perhaps unfortunate phrasing around slashes, the most efficient Patreon plug I've ever done.
You should just like cut that bit out and then you can just now put it in whenever.
I don't even think I forgot one of the show names. I didn't go for show names, which is probably why it went well. Trying to come up with Ring Cat Kings, Global Force Gold, Review It For Her.
Was it called Global Force Gold?
I think we called it Global Force Gold, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
And you can get your Global Force Gold at tnachat.com.
Oh, let's start grifting people.
Some would argue we're probably already grifting people.
Hey, yo!
These people are listening to a TNA wrestling podcast. We're at least grifting their time away from them.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
We are coming up, as we record this and as it releases, about a week from the airing of the 1000th episode of Impact, which is like crazy to think about, as we're covering like 69 to 71, I think, on this episode. And this is 2005, and they're all the way up to 1000. 1,000 episodes of television Impact/TNA has produced over the last 19 years since Impact launched in June 2004. And like, I feel like that's an achievement like you shouldn't undersell in any way. That's a lot of episodes of TV.
I wonder where that would put them in like all time rankings of television shows with number of episodes.
There's a bunch of shows, obviously, that like soap operas that air daily, that you know, cultural institutions that have been running from the 60s, 50s, that would have run up the numbers in that regard, which is the reason like you can mock WWE for saying weekly episodic, but it is one of those things where it's like it's a different category than daily talk show or soap opera or like Jerry Springer or anything that has like a more frequent cadence than like a weekly scripted television show. Because like a weekly scripted television show going that long, there's like Doctor Who, which I'm not sure is that even up to 1,000 episodes. It might be. That's been going ages. What else? What other shows ran
The Simpsons?
The Simpsons is a good one that's run since the 90s. I'm sure that's over 1,000 episodes at this
you
stage.
could go into like, it's probably like anime stuff, right?
Yeah, and anime really runs up the score because like there's a lot of shows and they do run more than once a week. And like Pokemon would be another one that is obviously like
One Piece has 1,071 episodes.
So it's a little bit ahead of Impact.
But One Piece will probably die quicker, so you'll be fine. Doctor Who has 862 episodes.
Yeah, because they would have run shorter seasons and more intermittently, especially in recent years. But yeah, so Impact has only been going since 2004 and has over 1,000. Doctor Who's been going since like the 50s, and it hasn't even reached 1,000. So what does that say, huh?
I'm looking at Sandmansion.
You're finding international shows.
AKA Our Little Sandman, or The Little Sandman, has over 22,000 episodes.
What the fuck?
61 seasons.
Yeah.
Then, you know, these are all your soaps now after that. Soaps and game shows.
Yeah, which obviously run daily generally, or
I wanna see
multiple times a week at least.
A show called Blue Peter.
That's a children's show in the UK.
That has 5,173 episodes.
That's quite a feat. Can you imagine making that many of, like, we're on 42 of these, and that seems like a lot.
Sesame Street.
Oh yeah, of course.
4,600. I'm looking for like stuff that isn't a soap opera or a children's show, because like children's shows seem to be the most. Oh, it just ends.
You have to go to a separate page.
Yeah, I can't find weekly episodic.
It's because it's actually a made-up category for WWE.
I know, but like, how else would you describe it?
Scripted shows. Like Sesame Street is scripted, so that doesn't really count.
Well, that one would be a legitimate contender for the top.
Elmo's not shooting.
What would Elmo shoot about?
You're taking the work with a script in TEW for Elmo. Imagine doing like Sesame Street TEW. You're putting together your episodes of Sesame Street. Oscar
right.
the Grouch is like, I haven't been used well lately.
Well, let me tell you right now, WWE Raw is not on this Wikipedia. Your number one. This is incorrect. These are primetime television series in the US.
What's number one there?
The Simpsons.
That makes sense.
750. Then
Is
Law
that
and
only
Order.
on 750?
Apparently.
I guess it is like
They
22
take
episode
breaks.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, 750.
they-
So, you know, you got 250 on The Simpsons.
Yeah. Fuck you, Homer.
Law and Order SVU.
Fuck you, Bells.
And then
he in
Law
that?
and Order.
Maybe he's in the further OG Law and Order. I don't
Then
know.
Family Guy.
It seems today.
Gunsmoke.
Yeah, that was one that I think WWE made like a big deal when they overtook Gunsmoke at some stage.
Well, I don't know why Law and Order is ranked above this, because Gunsmoke has more than Law and Order.
You have issues with the Wikipedia page here?
I mean, like, what are we doing here? You know, what are we? Lassie,
That dog kept on saving people from wells.
The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet.
You would think you'd get sick of the dog being bark down the well, but God, it gets you every time.
591 episodes later.
Yeah. Eventually Lassie gets stuck in the well and dies.
What's the stupidest one in here? The fact that Bob's Burgers is ranked. It makes me old.
Isn't that only like 5 seasons?
13 seasons.
Really? That's like when you realize Bones has been running for like 16 seasons. It's not anymore.
Bones is dead.
Yeah, when Bones was still on the air and you'd look at it as like it's in season fucking 14. Or Supernatural was another one that you're just like, how are they still doing this?
There's a bunch of bullshit. Smallville's on here?
I like Smallville.
I've never seen it.
One of my favorite shows growing up.
You're gonna call it a kid show and people are gonna get mad at you.
Well, it is. But it started on like the C-Dub as very much an aimed at teens show, and then kind of grew out of it as its audience grew up.
Well, let me tell you, Garrett. Of everything on here, Impact beats it.
Yeah, and listen, it's very easy to say that they said it wouldn't last a week. They said it wouldn't last a month. But you go back and read those observers, and fucking Dave Meltzer said it wouldn't last a week. So
It's true.
there we are, 1,000 episodes down the line. It's a lot of episodes. It's to be commended. There's a lot of good episodes, and a lot of bad episodes, and a lot of just episodes of wrestling television.
What's the longest running wrestling television show?
Is it Raw at this stage, or is it like still Saturday night?
It is an Argentinian. Oh, like that's currently running? Well, because this Argentinian promotion ran from 1962 to 1988.
I know like Memphis ran for ages in various incarnations.
Oh, sorry, that was just the 19. Put them all in the same whatever. Why wouldn't it all be in the same one? This is not sorted good.
The second they took moves out of the wrestling Wikipedia, it all just went to shit.
Well, Garrett,
Yes.
your Wikipedia lists Impact as having 989 episodes.
Updated. There was so many bad. I was counting those episodes, and like Cage Match was a few off. Wikipedia, it didn't actually cite the number for anything. It just had a number on the page, which was also wrong. There was another the SmackDown Hotel, I think, is a wiki. I think that's the name of it. Also wrong. Like, they were all slightly wrong. So literally when working out which episode was actually Impact 1000, I had to fucking count them manually, you pieces of shit.
Well, Garrett,
Yes.
you'll be ecstatic to know. Fucking wait. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 documented. I think this is the 4th most amount of episodes.
Raw SmackDown. What else is there?
Well, in 24 episodes, Garrett,
Yeah.
Impact will become the 3rd most amount of television shows in wrestling history, according to this one Wikipedia page. But you just gotta beat WWE Bottom Line and WWE Afterburn,
What?
which have 1,023 episodes each.
They had because they're the same show, aren't they? But they're branded differently in different regions. Because it would be very weird for them to have the exact same number of episodes.
It's still running, Gary. You need Afterburn and Bottom Line to die first.
Yeah, every so often. I sent you a clip of Scott Stanford from doing an episode of Afterburn or whatever. And it was actually when they were celebrating 1,000, wasn't it? He was like, 1,000 episodes of Afterburn. Scott Stanford still here somehow in WWE's headquarters being paid to host things long after my peak of the run on Zack Ryder's internet show.
I like Scott Stanford because he's clearly very aware of the bullshit.
Yeah.
Afterburn was like the most prominent pro wrestling show in Australia for a while.
Oh, because it was like just the only one on TV.
It was the only one on free TV.
Afterburn never even had matches though, did it?
It was like highlights. And then it was like called WWE Experience here or something for a bit.
Because that's what like Heat and Velocity were all mostly highlights, but did usually have an original match.
Yeah, there was no original matches. It's just like recaps and highlights of Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, at the start they were actual shows, but then slowly became less actual shows with just a Val Venus match for some reason. But Afterburn never even got that. And Afterburn's still here, so clearly people don't want original content. They just want highlights.
Exactly. All right, Garrett, I have a game for you. And you should be able to ace this. Every streaming platform that has hosted TNA Impact. In America, I guess, specifically.
Oh, all the television networks?
No, every streaming network.
What streaming networks have posted TNA Impact? It's been on iTunes.
Okay. But, like, I want everything, so go.
You used to be able to buy individual episodes of Impact on iTunes. Global Wrestling Network.
Okay, I also want the TV here. Come on, give me everything. I'm just not specifying TV because there were errors where they were on other platforms.
They started on Fox Sports Net.
Yes.
Then moved to Real Player.
Yes.
Then Spike TV for a very long time.
You've missed one.
Oh, well, does it have like the Sunshine Network in there?
It has Urban America Television.
Yeah, that's one of the places there in syndication during the summer.
Then there's Spike.
Yes. Then we had our Destination America days.
A wonderful run. It looked like it was gonna be a good time to be a pro wrestling fan, baby.
It lasted a year. It lasted like 4 months.
I wanted that ROH double shot. That's all I wanted.
Then we had our friends at Pop. Then we had Pursuit/Twitch.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I wanted that Twitch drop.
Yeah, because Lord knows if it was just Pursuit, no one on earth would have watched it.
And now we're on the wonderful, amazing, just all-time great network, Access TV. Everyone, watch Access.
Yeah, where you can also watch New Japan.
You can watch New Japan. You know what else you can watch on Access? Garrett?
You can watch episodes of Hot Ones.
You can watch some music festivals at certain points.
There's a lot of music. It is a music-focused network in general.
You can watch The Big Interview with Dan Rather. You can watch Rock and Roll Road Trip with Sammy Hagar.
All the stars.
Real Money with Eddie Money.
Wordplay.
The Top 10 Revealed.
Yeah, very
The very, very best of the 70s.
Oh, you went for 70s. I was so upset that I nearly named the very, very best of the 80s. I know the network content. I'm a pro.
The X Factor UK.
Ooh, Simon Cowell being a cunt.
Trunk Fest with Eddie Trunk.
Wordplay.
Paul Schaefer +1.
He has a guest.
And that guest was Sammy Hagar at one point. That's cross-branded.
Network synergy, baby.
Invicta FC.
MMA.
Probellum Boxing. Wahlburgers. A show that my mother would have been very pleased to know that was on this network. LA Inc.
Yeah. Wasn't that on Spike too?
Let's have a look. LA Inc.
Am I thinking like Ink Masters or something like that?
Ink Masters was Spike.
Yeah, so that's probably what I'm thinking.
These are all shows I grew up on because my parents would constantly watch them. But yeah, you know where it is now, though, Garrett?
Where?
Access TV. 25 minutes in, probably could do something at this point, right?
That brings us to the month that was November 2005. How did you feel about this month, about Genesis, about TNA, about Christian Cage?
Well, before Christian Cage, I want to talk about the, prime time episode of Impact, which I thought was awesome, and I kind of just wish that, every week was like that.
Yeah, so the November 3rd episode aired in prime time, still taped, but in prime time on Thursday night at, I think it was 9 p.m. And it was a 2-hour episode of Impact, the first 2-hour episode. It was episode number 70, and that's the first 2-hour episode for you trivia nerds. And it did feel like an actual, proper, fully featured 2 hours of television that they
it felt
loaded
like
up.
a real pro wrestling show. More than most of Impacts do.
If they were to actually go 2 hours at the moment, I don't think the average episode would be as loaded as that one was.
Obviously not.
It did feel like a real, fully featured, this is what 2 hours in prime time of us could look like, and that would look pretty good.
Yeah, and but imagine how dire some of those shows would get at this point. Or at least some of the portions of those shows would get.
Yeah, because the main event of the first Impact we're going to talk about is AMW against 3LK, and then you're like, oh.
I like that, they're like, we're on prime time. We gotta put our best foot forward. That's right, baby. Diamonds in the rough. Let's go.
Everyone loves putting diamonds in the rough out first. It really gets you going. I did like Mike today, multiple times on that episode, being like, call your friends. Get your phone out. Call your friends. Tell them that Impact is on television. Call them. Call them right now.
Please, we beg of you. Again, this is another one of those episodes where I'm watching it and I'm like, I think Impact might be the greatest of all time at putting their foot forward for a first time viewer experience when they're put in a new position. They really nail that reintroduction to the company episode. The problem is, for some reason, they can't consistently, they can obviously identify the values that the company has because they do it multiple times. And they're like, this is what's so good about the company. And then, the next week, they're like, all right, now back to the path that we've been walking, which isn't highlighting all the things that we know people love about us.
It's yeah, we've tricked people into jumping on board. Now we can go back to Jeff Jarrett bullshit.
But it's they clearly understand it. Because whenever they're, launching a show, or doing one of their, famous, restarts, or they're put in a primetime position for the first time, they know what people are after. But for some reason, they just don't stick to those things.
Yeah, because this is the third time, arguably, they've done it so far. Obviously, the FSN debut, the Spike debut, and now this primetime special, all of which are, in theory, on paper, meant to introduce TNA to a new audience, and hopefully a larger audience, though it didn't turn out to be the case with the primetime special. But they're like, okay, new people, new eyeballs, what are we, and how should we make people care about what we are? And as you said, it's always X Division front and center, Styles front and center, AMW front and center, the good wrestlers that the people like, and then over time it just slips to being well, it's Kevin Nash again, right? Okay.
I don't get it. I don't get how they can clearly understand what sets them apart and what makes them cool and unique and new, and then they just never actually stick to it.
I do have a theory that over time wrestling bookers just get bored.
Well, yeah, I think that's part of it. And then CM Punk tries to kill them.
But that also happens sometimes too. But a lot of the time you don't see the people
Allegedly.
stick to the same things that work, because I think they just get bored of their own booking. And then that's Vince is, I think, the ultimate case of a guy who was just completely bored by professional wrestling as a concept at this stage, which is the reason that he changes his mind every 2 weeks.
And also resentful of it.
But he's just not excited by it anymore. He has been living in this world, writing 4 to 10 hours of television every single week for the last 40 years of his life, and he just can't get excited by this thing anymore. And I think over time, a lot of the time, you see a lot of bookers will be they'll start veering from the path, and they'll start doing more wacky, silly stuff, just because they've gotten bored doing the straight-laced stuff. But that's all to say that's not really the case here because they haven't been booking it long enough.
Yeah. And like they have a new booker every 3 minutes too, so you shouldn't be getting bored. Maybe that's the key. You have a rotating roster of bookers that all like are on a committee, but then there's one head booker, and every like 6 months you swap out to the next guy.
Yeah, so you have like 5 people on a committee and you change the lead every few months.
Yeah, and then like that way, like people don't get resentful because they're still part of the creative team, but they get like a break from having it all on them. And then in that like period where they're not in charge, that lets them refresh and think of new ideas.
Yeah, because like people say wrestling is easy, and I think that what they mean is it's usually not as hard as wrestling companies generally make it out to be.
No, I think what they mean is that I could do it and I want to do it. Let me do it.
Yeah, but it, like to do it over time, to book well, and to like thoughtfully book a wrestling show long term.
Most wrestling fans could probably book a pretty solid 1 month of a wrestling show.
Yep. And then they'd be like, someone would get hurt, and then someone would get injured, and then someone would try to fight you backstage. And then like even just the random stuff of like, oh, that didn't get over and that didn't work and my angles aren't what I thought they'd be.
Well, that probably has to like weigh on you too, is like, I thought this was such a great idea and it died a death. And then it's like crisis of faith. It's like, do I know what I'm doing?
Yeah, especially if you're doing like live weekly where like even the firmest of convictions might be rattled and shaken by something just dying a death, not getting over. Or conversely, you have to then adjust if something you didn't expect to get over randomly gets over. And then you have to see how, yeah, as I said, how stubborn are you going to get about that happening? And are you willing to just go with the hot hand that you didn't create as opposed to the thing that you're like stubbornly trying to justify your own existence by pushing it? It's like there is more layers to it than I think the average person actually considers, even though I think on average wrestling companies do make things more complicated than they nearly ever need to be.
I think probably part of it is that attitude of like, my idea is the right idea, and an unwillingness to like be malleable about your ideas and be like, well, my idea isn't going the way I thought it was going to go, but there's something in it that's getting a giant reaction. I should just pivot completely to that. And instead they go, no, I want to finish my idea first and then we can pivot to that. But by the time they get to that stage, the thing that was hot has already started to smolder and is now, when you go to it, people are going to go, well, that would have been cool a month ago. That would have been cool 6 months ago.
Yeah. And like to go back to this era TNA, like it's an excuse that I think will dwindle increasingly, especially as we get toward the end of the year. But like they probably don't yet still have the roster depth to do like real killer weekly TV every week. Like they don't have the fresh matches to actually do that at the moment, even for an hour show. But they're increasingly getting there with additions of like 3D, I Love Christian, of like when you look at the X Division at the moment where you have like Strong, Aries, Shelley, Sabin, Dutt just kind of doing undercard stuff. It's like there is increasingly more and more depth there. They're getting to the point where that's not an excuse.
I think part of that would have been beneficial of like, and I get like there's probably trepidation in like at best it's trepidation, and at worst it's like weird pro wrestling attitude stuff that like you should be mixing these X Division guys more and just doing like feuds with people who aren't in the X Division, because that would increase your roster dynamic and depth like twofold immediately. Like, if you weren't afraid to just be like, for this month, Alex Shelley is going to feud with Jeff Hardy, and then we'll do a Jeff Hardy Alex Shelley match at the pay-per-view. If they weren't like afraid of that dynamic, that would instantly sort of extend their roster. But there's like, clearly they are, and they want to keep everything insular in that division. It's like if they were just like, hey, we're going to take Christopher Daniels and put him against Sabu. You know what I mean? Like, it would just immediately sort of expand that roster, but because they want to keep the X Division as its own sort of thing, that kind of, I don't know, it limits them even further.
Yeah, and I'm even like a little bit torn on that as an idea in general, just because traditionally, anytime you've seen the X Division expand beyond the X Division and interact with with other areas of the company that aren't the X Division is then usually generally treated as less than. Like it's always like, oh, it's the X Division guys coming in and losing, or they're being nerds, or someone's trying to bully them, or something like that. And it's never just like, you know, Daniels is just a guy who can wrestle AJ for the belt and also wrestle Jarrett for the belt.
Yeah, like that, because you can see how immediately that would make this show bigger. But again, you could say that about everything. It's like you just got to do things right, you know? Like, that makes this a real simple explanation. It's like, these are all great ideas and like things that would and can work, but you just have to do them with like out this weird attitude of separation. That wasn't the word I was looking for, in case you thought you were thinking otherwise. Like if there wasn't this attitude that these things aren't on the same level, like just make them the same level and it will work.
Yeah, it goes back to like a wrestling fan attitude that you hear a lot about how like, oh, authority figures are bad, or brand splits are bad, or angles about people who are friends who don't want to hurt each other are bad. And like all those as like absolutionist terms, it's very stupid. Like there can be a great brand split, you can do that really well. There can be a great authority figure, you can do that really well. You can do the why am I so violent to my friend angle really, really well.
Interference.
Yeah, the problem then becomes when they become tropes that are overly common or have just been badly used to the extent that they feel old and tired. And then people just keep doing them and they keep doing them badly, and then no matter what, you'll be getting money in the bank cash-ins until the end of your life.
Yeah.
There are very, very few ideas on paper in wrestling that are bad, like flat out.
A lot of it just requires something that isn't prevalent in pro wrestling, and that is restraint.
Generally not people who can hold back or do things smartly.
Well, no, like, because, like, you know, a part of, I think, it's something that's intrinsical in wrestling is this attitude of go, you know, keep the viewers' attention, don't make them switch channels, just do things.
So we call it the Vince Russo mentality.
Oh my god, he won in the end.
Yeah, well, like, there's not no merit to that. Like, that you do value the viewer's attention span and value their time and try to give them something interesting while they're giving you that time. But then you don't want to flip to the crazy side of that where you are desperate for that. That, like, you are desperate for their time and you are desperate for any second they can give you. And you are so afraid that they will tune out that you sabotage everything around you in order to try and keep their attention.
Yeah.
That brings us to the news, starting with the big story for the month.
News, I have to clean my hand because it has burst into blood.
What did you do to yourself?
I don't know. I looked down and my whole thumb is bleeding.
You got so fired up about like theories of booking that you started blading your hand just to get some color, brother.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, talk about Christian.
On October 30th in Los Angeles, Christian gave his notice to WWE. There was a lot to this story, which will almost surely end with him coming to TNA very quickly. From a name standpoint, he was Christian Cage on the Independents before coming to WWE, so with prior usage, at worst he could call himself Christian Cage, which he does, or more likely simply keep the name Christian, which he doesn't. The precedent here would be Honky Tonk Man, who was Honky Tonk Wayne in Stampede. Nope, Christian Cage, Dave. And allowed to continue to use the name Honky Tonk Man anywhere he wanted because he came into the relationship with the basics of the name and the character. It was no secret that Christian was unhappy with his slot and lack of upward mobility, even though he had been getting some incredible crowd responses a few months back when he was cutting promos on the poser John Cena. However, he did nothing but jobs, and the move to SmackDown didn't change that. He had been losing momentum without a good program and with constant TV losses. There was feelings expressed that the wrestlers are told to get over with the audience to justify a push, but in reality, the company decides and slots everyone ahead of time, which goes back to the booking conversation we had a second ago about this guy got over organically and then he's being punished for it because he wasn't the chosen guy to get over at the moment. Classic pro wrestling booking, it's stupid. If someone like Christian gets consistent crowd reactions far greater than their allotted spot, it doesn't matter. So Christian's contract has expired. He's friends with Scott D'Amore of TNA, dating back to their days as Canadian independent wrestlers. Those close to him believe he is starting with TNA imminently. He then signed a contract with TNA on November 3rd, so he didn't wait around. He's going to be used on top, and instead of teasing it on television ahead of time, they decided to tease it on the internet a little bit, and then he showed up on the pay-per-view.
I just poured hand sanitizer into my open wound.
That's generally how you heal yourself.
I think so, right?
Did it sting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sting.
No, that's not for another few months.
Do you think that is because they didn't know if it was happening when they were filming TV?
It's one of those things, and Dave kind of goes on about it a bit, that like, oh, they would have boosted buys if they had like teased it or announced it on TV, and like I think they tried to thread the needle of having people expecting a big surprise without ruining the surprise, because it's that weird thing where like wrestling fans do love the surprise, but more people will then buy the show if they know it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, like it's like a twofold thing where it's like you buy it because you hope it's gonna happen, but the real thing, you just want the music to hit.
Yeah, so like the tease was that like the biggest acquisition in company history would be debuting at Genesis, but they didn't put that anywhere on the TV show. Like maybe if they ended the show with like an MCU style stinger, just being like, oh, big thing happening Genesis.
Well, you could have his entrance video was literally a countdown.
Yeah,
You could have just done a countdown.
and like given he signed the contract November 3rd, it's not a case that like he signed the deal too late to get it on that last TV. Like that last TV was November 12th. There's loads of time.
See, I was gonna ask, like, maybe they were like, we've already fucked this up so many times. Where we're like, the big thing's happening, and then it doesn't happen. Maybe they were just like, let's just do it when we really know.
Let's just deliver a cool surprise. People will buy the show next month for Christian. It's fine.
Well, that's the thing too. I guess, like, you know, that first match is gonna be a bigger draw anyway.
In an interview with WWE.com, basically his exit interview, which I find funny that they interviewed him being like, hey, what's going on? Are you leaving? Because like there was a weird thing where like he was offered a contract backstage at SmackDown and he was like, no. And then he went from like, I think it was a 4-way and he ended up being pinned all of a sudden in that match. And then they announced he was leaving even though he was still wrestling on TV after they announced he was leaving. So there's like people being in the crowd with signs being like, sign Christian on WWE shows with Christian still on them, even though he was going to leave. It's a weird little set of circumstances.
There was like a few things weird around it because like there was like a thing with the game as well where he was in the game but they removed like all of his logos.
That's strange.
Like, yes, like he just had like blue tights.
I'm surprised Vince didn't put the blue dot over his face.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's pretty much the same thing, right? And like there was another one where it's like he was meant to be in one and then they cut him out, but like all these assets are still... It's like the Christian jump was like one of those very weirdly handled ones.
Because it's one of those where, like, they fucking should have seen it coming based on how they booked him, how he got over, and then got absolutely no opportunities whatsoever.
You know what I think it was?
What?
I think it was they were so firmly used to being the only game in town at this point. They were like, what else is he gonna, what's he gonna fucking do? You know, it's like, where's he gonna go? There's no WCW.
Yeah, and like Christian's one of their guys. He's been there since like 97 or whatever.
Yeah, so it's like, they probably just didn't even think it was an option. Like nowadays, they're like, we have to lock everyone down because like they could go to 75 different places.
Whereas here, there was probably a little bit of hubris of like, you're not gonna go to fucking TNA. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're not gonna go to TNA. What are you gonna do? Gonna go to Japan?
And like it's actually funny to look back on that era of like 2005 Christian working with John Cena, and I think the beginning of the crowd like rejecting Cena is actually part of like the Christian story, where like while he was feuding with Cena that summer, the crowd generally kind of sided with Christian, and Christian was like the underpushed guy that people really wanted to see succeed. And then that resentment kind of over time transferred onto Cena as like he's the hand-picked company guy who's actually holding like our championed guy Christian down. So I think the Christian plays a weirdly important role in like the narrative of John Cena's career going forward from here.
I've definitely seen all this and know exactly what you're talking about.
But yes, in that WWE.com interview, he said, it's a lot of personal reasons as to why I made the decision to leave WWE, and actually too many to get into, but I will say this. I gave everything I had to WWE for 8 years. I gave everything to the fans. I feel they gave me everything they had. But you know, never say never in this business. Hopefully they won't forget about Christian, and we'll see what happens in the future. He's jumping to TNA.
Yeah. He's an amazing get.
He is like the perfect get, because he's 31 here, bang in the middle of his prime. He is one of those guys who has a strong reputation that WWE has dropped the ball on. So he's not the case of like he was fired. That's another one. He wasn't fired. He did jump. He made sure to state that
abundantly clear that this was a choice.
That he did in fact jump to TNA. So like this narrative, this like the underappreciated guy who's a great promo, who's a good worker, who is right in the middle of his prime and has a reputation for the ball being dropped with him in the other company, is like the perfect package to jump to TNA right now. It's exactly what you would have, well, like you probably would have wanted Shawn Michaels or Kurt Angle now, but you're not getting those now. Whereas Christian like perfectly fits, I think, the narrative of TNA at the moment, and the kind of guy you'd want to be like, this is why you want to come here, because you'll get the chances you won't get there.
That's the selling point of TNA for a lot of these people. Like, you know, you want to watch these guys, but you don't want to watch them there. you'll have them here.
And they'll ideally be better here.
It's the AEW ethos too.
It's like they're not actually different, they'll just be better.
Yeah, they'll just be allowed to be better.
So then he did debut on Genesis. He came out as the big surprise about an hour into the show. Because they had a few backstage interviews. We'll talk about them when we're talking about the stories themselves. Where like Franchise was with Jarrett. He was with Trial K. He was with Monty afterwards. He was with Abyss and Mitchell. And he mentioned like, oh, the acquisition. And then Christian comes out to his fake Evanescence theme, which is his theme to this day, which is his theme that I heard at All In Wembley in front of 80,000 people.
With the Big Ben countdown.
Yeah, I did throw up my double C's for Christian Cage.
I love the double C.
The Captain Charisma.
He should bring it back.
He did it while he was in like the Impact run, while he was world champion. He's like, he'll throw up the double C's because that's where he did it.
He's a fucking worker.
He is.
Last of the true workers.
So he comes out with his cool Captain Charisma jacket, gets a great reaction. Crowder super duper
And his
into Christian.
jeans.
Yeah, his jeans and his white t-shirt. Well, white shirt. It's not a t-shirt.
Motherfucker just wearing jeans and a wrestling jacket. It's a chaotic fit.
This is 2005. There are no rules. They cut to backstage reactions from Jarrett and Monty on monitors. Christian said he didn't come here to see the same guy say the same thing week after week. And then you can hear Jarrett in the background say, for months and months. Like, sir, you are not allowed to say that. Of all the people in this company, you cannot co-sign that comment, sir.
No, when you're constantly being compared to each other.
He didn't come here to see a grown man dressed as a doctor pulling things out of another man's ass, to which TNA enthusiastically punctuates with an amen.
Like, he's such a hype man for Christian.
Oh, even better is the next one when he's like, and you can be damn sure he didn't come because he got fired.
He jumped!
Puts in with the world's most enthusiastic he jumped. It's so good. I love him so much. He said he was offered good money to stay because there was a rumor he was lowballed. Again, he's getting out in front of all this shit.
Hell yeah, bang bang.
Kind of like he came to TNA because he loves wrestling. WWE is old, boring, and lacking direction, and this is TNA, and he's coming for the NWA title and throws a little shot at Jarrett for wearing white after Labor Day.
What is white after Labor Day?
It's one of those like fashion things. You don't wear white after Labor Day. I don't know, is there like a symbolic meaning to not wearing white after Labor Day, but you don't wear white after Labor Day.
Like, for the rest of the year?
Also, Christian's wearing white right now in this promo, which is after Labor Day.
I don't get it.
Neither do I. It's Americans, explain to me why you don't wear white after Labor Day, please.
And like how long that lasts.
Is it like till January 1st and then you can wear white again?
Or is it like literally the day after?
And then he dropped the "because that's how I roll" catchphrase. Great catchphrase. But he wasn't not there alone. Scott D'Amore and Bobby Roode come out.
Oh, because they're Canadian.
The grin on D'Amore's face as he's walking down the ramp. He's like, my pal, my fellow Canadian. Ah!
And Christian's like, this guy.
So D'Amore comes out and he gives the pitch. You should join Team Canada. You should join Planet Jarrett. You, of all people, know the importance of having the right backup, being in with the right crew. We go way back. Think of all the named a number of incidents on the Indies where him and Adam came up together. And Christian was pondering. He was about to ask a question. And Rude jumped in and was like, you fucking better join Team Canada, pal.
And D'Amore's like, what the fuck?
Rude demands an answer right now. D'Amore is not pleased. He's like, oh, Bobby, back off. And he gives Christian the rest of the night. We'll talk about the rest of that when we get to the actual programs themselves. But yeah, good promo, great reaction. It's a little silly that he's like getting out in front of the narratives. It's like, I wasn't fired. They didn't lowball me. I jumped, baby. But listen, you're at war. So that's the kind of stuff you do.
Yeah, and it's like not as annoying as it will become for like the WWE guy to come in and be like, WWE bad? Crowd goes crazy. I being held down. Crowd goes nuts.
Or you can go the Damien Sandow route, where they chant, you're a genius, and he says, shut up, that's a character from somewhere else, and I don't like it.
The Jericho one, the bad creative.
Yeah, except Damien Sandow maybe was only that character and should have stuck to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Christian. It's nice to have him around. Christian's cool.
He sure is. People without fathers beware in the TNA locker room.
You're gonna have to Google and find out who doesn't have a dad.
He has a spreadsheet, I'm sure.
That's the first thing. He's like walking around the locker room being like, oh, hey, yeah, hey, AJ, nice to meet you. How's your father? It's like, oh, well, actually. It's like, yes.
And he's like, very interesting. And a comically large tick next to his name on it.
Chase Stevens suffered a broken neck at the Impact taping on October 25th during a match with Buck Quartermain and Lex Lovett. Of all the matches to fucking break your neck in.
Against two seasoned professionals.
You're the Naturals wrestling a squash against Buck Quartermain and Lex Lovett. And that's where you break your neck. Stevens mistimed an elevated move and crashed down on his neck and head, fracturing the C5 and C6 vertebrae in his neck. According to TNAWrestling.com, Stevens suffered the mildest form of trauma associated with a broken neck. As of Friday, Stevens was pain-free, but doctors recommended he take at least 1 week away to recover from an injury that usually takes 3 to 6 weeks for a normal person. I feel like any context in which the words broken neck are involved should involve longer than a week away from wrestling.
That's cut angle shit.
Stevens told TNAWrestling.com that he didn't realize he suffered a severe injury until sometime after the impact of the move. It wasn't until I made the tag to Andy Douglas that I had an extra second to realize I couldn't feel my hands and my back was slowly starting to tingle. I'm a little sore. I do feel about 95% and feel like I could wrestle now if doctors would let me.
Wrestlers are fucking crazy.
He broke his neck. And he's like, those stupid doctors won't let me wrestle. They're going to make me wait a week.
Ugh.
It's not like the Naturals have anything left. They've lost the tag titles. It's over.
He just wanted that pay-per-view payday.
Yeah, so Chase Stevens won't miss much time, despite breaking his goddamn neck.
Wrestlers are dumb.
TNA announced it has signed former Tough Enough winner and WWE wrestler Jackie Gayda.
Cool.
You know any Jackie Gayda memories?
Nah.
I suppose you would have been a little too young, and even like that's during the year I would have watched it. I also have no Jackie Gayda memories, so...
Yeah, give like 7 memories right now.
There was that time she won Tough Enough.
Hmm.
I remember more Nydia, because Nydia was like with Jamie Noble and stuff on TV in a way that was memorable.
She did the sex thing.
I don't remember a single thing Jackie Gayda did.
Was Jackie Gayda like with Charlie Haas?
I think so.
There's like a Charlie Haas thing with Jackie Gayda. And Rico.
Maybe.
Sounds about right.
Because Jackie Gayda and Charlie Haas were married at one point, weren't they?
They were an on-screen thing, I think.
I'm pretty sure that was a real couple. Whether or not they are anymore I have no idea. But I'm pretty sure they were a real thing.
They were married in 2005 and divorced in 2020.
Oh, love has fallen apart.
They have 4 children. What does she do? Teamed with Stacy Keibler.
Dream team.
Yeah, she managed Rico.
Mm-hmm.
See, I know what I'm fucking talking about.
You love your 2003 WWE.
Announced the engagement of Gator House on SmackDown. This led to a catfight between Jackie Gator and Dawn Marie, which led to an intergender tag match at No Mercy, pitting Gator, Haas, and Rico against Dawn and the Dudley Boys.
That's a match of the year right there.
And Jackie Gator's team won the bout.
This is the full Jackie Gator career retrospective.
Dawn Marie predicted that the relationship would not last very long. From that
they
moment
got
onwards, Dawn
15 years, Dawn Marie. That's pretty good.
From that moment on, Dawn Marie tried her hardest to split up the couple. On the August 7th episode of SmackDown, Gator found herself on the receiving end of Billy Kidman's BK Bomb. She sold her injuries through the October tour of Europe by wearing a neck brace. What a worker. Only returning to
Just
action
like
on the October 28th episode of SmackDown in Omaha, Nebraska, where she returned in a Halloween costume contest between Dawn Marie and Tori Wilson, spearing Dawn, and you won't believe it, tearing the clothes from her body. A vengeful Dawn then screamed to Gator that it was not over. Dawn gained her revenge during an arm wrestling contest on the November 4 episode of SmackDown, headbutting Gator and catfighting her until Haas made the save. Dawn's ally, Heisenreich, then decimated Haas, dismaying Gator's attempts to protect Haas by shoving her to the mat. On the November 25th episode, Gator tried to gain revenge in a, quote, in quotes, Pilgrim versus Indian match. But both women were disqualified for ignoring the referee's instructions. The two divas fought once again on December 2nd, this time while wearing Christmas outfits. General Manager Teddy Long finally announced a final encounter at Armageddon, appointing Haas as the referee. Gator lost the match and her fiancé as the relationship was broken when Haas revealed he had had an affair with Dawn Marie. He then rejected Marie afterward, saying he did not want either woman.
Well, what a career. What a run.
And then she was in a bunch of vignettes with other divas, and then her and Haas got fired in 2005.
After their year-long story.
Where would it have been from? September to December. So like 3-month storyline.
All of that was in 3 months?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, she's coming to TNA.
Cool.
I'm sure she'll do something very exciting.
In 2008, Haas and Gator opened the Custom Muscle Nutrition and Smoothie Shop at a nutritional store in Frisco, Texas.
I hope that's still open, just like their friendship.
I just got spoiled on winner of the Knockout of the Year. Oh, of course, famed winner of the worst worked match of the year in the Wrestling Observer, teaming with Christopher Notwinski versus Bradshaw and Trish Stratus.
That company is so bad.
So there you go. You happy? Excited?
I feel like the early to mid 2000s of that company are almost underrated in how bad they are. Because it has like the same amount of attitude era bullshit, but people are a fraction as over, and it's during a period in which nobody wanted that anymore. But yes, Jackie Gator's come to TNA.
What a her class of fired people is wild. Joy Giovanni.
Yeah, of course.
Kenzo Suzuki.
TNA legend. Perry
Matt
Saturn match
Morgan.
still lives in my dreams. TNA legend.
Charlie Haas.
Had one TNA match. He wrestled Josh Alexander in 2022.
Yeah, I remember that. Jackie Gator, of course. She is the star of the class. Marty Jannetty.
Shockingly never wrestled in TNA. Why did they sign him to a deal?
That was when they did the Rockers reunion. I know this because I just watched fucking Darkside.
I know, but like, why did they sign him to a deal?
Because Shawn Michaels has political pull and he felt guilty.
And like, he did look pretty good in like the Rockers match and the match he had on SmackDown with Kurt. Like, he didn't look dreadful, but also, why did you sign him to a deal?
Because Shawn has political pull and he felt bad.
Alright.
Dawn Marie. Man, that whole feud got canned after 3 months of TV.
Yep.
Mark Jindrak.
Is he still wrestling? I know he obviously he did very well in Mexico for years after, but I haven't heard about Marco Corleone in a while.
Maven.
Oh, my fave. Maven's story. For years and years, in one of my local toy shops, all they ever had was Maven. Like, rows and rows of Maven. Like, literally, like, 30 Maven action figures.
Now you'd kill for a Maven.
And legitimately, I never bought one. I was like, every time I'd go in there for months, all they would have was Maven. And then I had a hankering to actually buy Maven, and they didn't have Maven anymore. And I was actually mad.
They released homeowner Jim Cornette. Shannon Moore.
Who we will be seeing imminently.
Akio.
That's Jimmy Yang, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Akio to me. Gangrel.
Oh, no.
Billy Kidman. Spike
Should have
Dudley.
shown up in TNA. Does show
Kevin
up in TNA.
Fertig.
Yeah, Mordecai.
Is that... Oh. I know him as the vampire.
Yeah.
Kev Thorne, baby.
He does come back. That's stupid.
Yeah, he does. And then, of course, Bubba and Devon. You'll be surprised to learn we're fired here, too.
They make it very clear in
they did not proceed with any renegotiations.
Yeah, there's an interview that I didn't include where they're like, let's get it clear. We were not fired.
Yeah, they do say that here.
Our contracts expired and we did not like the offer of renewal we got and felt we had done everything we could there. Too
Cold Scorpio was hired in 2007?
Probably.
I'm on the Wayback Machine for the WWE News Archive. They fired Too Cold Scorpio in May of 2007.
I remember when they randomly brought back D'Lo.
The fuck? Mr. McMahon becomes Dr. McMahon.
No.
Stone Cold on Stern.
No.
Super Crazy injured.
Oh, no.
In Oberhausen.
Doing the 16 carat?
Yeah, I imagine. WWE ends relationship with Deep South. This is the show now where I just read a year of WWE News Archives. Divas Go Shopping!
We did do at least 5 minutes on the career of Jackie Gator, which neither of us actually remember any of, but...
Mick Foley visits MIT.
Wow, what did he learn?
I think he was a speaker. Elite educator, elite confirmed!
They were gonna jump, but then they signed new deals. They actually planted those stories.
Joey Mercury released. Yeah, Ashley and Kane star on Smallville. Full circle.
There we go. We won't get better than that. The segue away from Liam reading the news of a year we're not covering. TNA's first of what are likely to be many primetime specials on Spike TV was a hot show, but ended up drawing a disappointing 0.9 rating and 978,000 viewers on November.
Isn't that less than what they did before?
It is more or less like in the range of what they were doing already, which is the reason it's considered disappointing. It's not down. Like they did do 1.2 million, but if you took the average of what they've been doing so far on Spike, I think this is pretty much bang in there.
This is a good Dynamite number.
The number, identical to the number of the last episode of Ultimate Fighter when it was moved from its traditional night, shows the television viewership is based on Creatures of Habit. Spike averages a 1.0 rating in primetime, so they were a little down from that, but it did do 22% better than what was usually in the time slot. Spike did also spend some money advertising the show, though. Though by all accounts, Spike were happier with it than TNA were. TNA were quite disappointed that they did the big primetime special, because they were airing at 11 on Saturdays, and they did more or less the same rating in primetime on Thursdays than they did on 11 at 11 on Saturdays. But Spike apparently were pretty happy because they figured more competition on Thursday nights than there is on Saturday nights, so they thought it might do a little bit worse, but it held up pretty well, so by all accounts, Spike were quite pleased.
As long as Spike's happy.
Yeah, once the network's happy, everyone's happy.
But Garrett, would someone please tell me about the fucking Westminster Dog Show?
In February is when they were probably going to do a special of some sort, because Raw's preempted by the Westminster Dog Show, so there's probably going to be something February 13th that TNA would have in order to try and take advantage of Raw not being in its regular time slot on that week. Yeah, it's like a USA staple, and it was actually one of the conditions of them coming back to USA is them no longer getting preempted by the Westminster Dog Show, so I actually think that might be the last year that they are.
Boo.
From 2006. It's one of those things, as I think we talked about before, as I was reading Death of WCW every time, it's just like, Nitro did a monster number because Raw was preempted by the Westminster Dog Show.
Is that still running?
It is still running, I believe.
Who won the Westminster Dog Show?
In 2006. Go work that out. But as I said, it was one of the conditions of going back to USA that they would no longer be preempted by that. So... What are you chuckling at?
I'm just looking at the fucking names of these stupid dogs. What year?
06.
Rufus!
Hey, Rufus.
You want to see Rufus?
I want to see Rufus, yes.
I'm gonna post a picture of Rufus to the Twitter account with no context.
I hope there's someone who's like, that's my favorite Westminster Dog Show winner right there.
Oh, that'd be crazy. Is there like stan culture for different Westminster Dog Show winners?
Yeah, they know all of them. I hope there is like an actual... There's surely... Because it's like... I see with some kind of relatively relevant institution to the extent that there is people who are like historians of the Westminster Dog Show.
Rufus. There you go.
Look at his face!
Yeah, that's a winner right there.
Yeah. He has a little necklace too. What a stylish guy.
Who won? Oh, James sucks. I'm a Rufus guy. Uno's alright. Stomp's cool. Sadie, that's an industry plant dog if I've ever seen one. That's like the Jack Perry of Westminster dog winners.
Which means another dog's gonna beat the shit out of it in any minute.
Yeah, Rufus.
Rufus is gonna take it down.
Because it was best in 2006.
Rufus is sick and tired of working with these kids.
Look at this fucking Hollywood planted winner.
Oh yeah, look at that cunt.
Yeah, fuck you, Sadie. Whoa! Malaki? This guy's called?
Is it not just Malachi?
No, it's Malaki.
Uh-huh.
He kind of rules. Like, that's a contender against Rufus right now.
You've really turned on Rufus. What is going on with this dude?
Yeah!
He looks like a Star Wars thing.
Mm-hmm. Banana Joe retired after winning in 2013.
He looks like a deeply cynical thing that would be put in Star Wars just to sell toys.
There's a lot of dogs in here. Like, alright.
It is a dog
After 2014, there's like a bunch of weirdo dogs. Then we're just getting to boring old dogs. Like, these are just regular ass dogs. Oh, fuck off, Flynn.
They stopped stunt casting the dogs.
Look at this guy. This guy is tryhard. This is like the Eurovision entrant that like doesn't feel like it has any actual artistic merit, but like they try to be weird just for being weird. This is Flynn.
Oh, that's like a Swedish dog.
King! Look at King.
it
He's won it 15 times.
Oh, that's the Triple H
The
of the
Ric
Westminster
Flair.
Dog Show.
He looks like Triple H. He has the Triple H mustache.
Oh, he does, especially like the 2005 era with the stupid handlebar shit he's trying to do at that stage.
Wasabi! Wasabi's sick. I'm at 2021 now. I might as well just commit until we get to all of them.
Must be noted, King did not win it 15 times, but he is a wire fox terrier, and that breed of dog has won 15 times.
Boo! I got too excited. Trumpet's cool.
I like Wasabi. Look at this guy. Look at his weird head. Why do they always have beards?
Should we do a live reaction to the 2023 Westminster Dog Show?
Yeah, what is it?
I don't know. Look at the date on the news article. Probably says right there.
February 13th was the 2006 one, so I assume they're sticking to February.
That was last year's winner, Trumpet.
Trumpet's a good boy.
Look how bougie it is now.
Trumpet looks like a classically good dog, you know?
Yeah.
No gimmicks, not going for a beard.
It's the second longest continuously held sporting event in the US.
What's the first? The World Series?
Monday Night Raw. I gotta see if it's already happened this year or not. 2023 Dog Show winner. Alright, there was a winner this year. Buddy Holly won.
I don't think he's a dog, but...
Yeah, rude. I have a video of Buddy Holly.
Alright, it's apparently May next year, so we're gonna have to wait.
Oh, Buddy Holly's a good boy. I was hoping for some weird freak.
Everyone's got to remind us next year.
Next year, $10 tier, Westminster Dog Show, live reaction, YouTube streaming event.
Are you tweeting this?
No, Buddy Holly won this year. That's Buddy Holly. Good guy.
Oh, again. That's more just like classic good dog.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's gone from weird freak to just classic good dog.
Because you see some of these dogs, but like King's a bit of a weird freak. So is Wasabi. Whereas like the Trumpet and Buddy Holly are like classic good dogs.
Yeah, I like Rufus though.
There's a surprising amount of facial hair going on with these dogs.
That's the thing. There's not enough weird freaks. All the weird freaks have facial hair. I like King.
You want to bow down to the king?
Bow down, darling.
It's his theme song with his Triple H mustache.
He should have come out to that when he won the 15th title.
And his nepotism, because he's the same breed that always won.
Unfortunately, he is literally a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
He's the Jack Perry.
But yes, when the Westminster Dog Show preempts Raw in 2006 is when they're eyeing up another primetime special of some sort. The October 22nd Impact did a 1.5 rating among males 18 to 34, which is the highest on cable that day, aside from ESPN's college football game. So TNA drawn in men.
would have to release the Wembley footage to get that kind of rating.
And even then...
He'd get a 0.9.
TNA's video game deal, which was dependent on getting the national outlet, will be Midway Games. Midway officially announced the video game with TNA. The product is scheduled to ship in 2007. Midway is not doing very well financially, as they appear to have lost about $20 million in the last year. That will be a thing to talk about in the future. Midway, of course, most famously known for making Mortal Kombat.
I was going to say, they were Mortal Kombat, right? And now NetherRealm does Mortal Kombat.
So Warner Brothers snapped up a bunch of the Midway assets, not including TNA when Midway went out of business, and they snapped up Warner Brothers with it.
When are we getting the second TNA game?
Like, they did commission it. Like, they it wasn't the case that, like, they weren't going to make a second game, but then they went broke before they could, and we got a shitty DS game and a shitty PSP game.
Right after we finish the Westminster Dog Show, will be our playthrough of the TNA Impact video game.
The full story with suicide and being jumped and thrown to Mexico and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, that game is again, a classic shame. It's a classic good foundation, good base. The second game would have been much better, and they just never got the second game. Which may also be the case for the AEW game, but I don't think a person on Earth plays it anymore, so...
It's got 40 people.
Even the Stadium Stampede mode just came and went.
Yeah. It's weird, because it's not bad. I guess people are just if it's not a WWE 2K game, people aren't into it.
I just don't think it was deep enough. Like, even if you're enjoying it, it's like, there's not enough game here.
Hey, what are you going to do? Just play matches, I guess.
Yeah, and even then, I think there's some holes in the gameplay that they need to patch over.
They need to buy TW.
And just do a sim game.
Yeah.
As opposed to that weird sim game they put out on
a
mobile.
proper sim game, yeah.
Nigel McGuinness will likely debut on the Genesis show, either in the pre-show or possibly in the prelim. He wrestled Sharkboy in the pre-show. And also, Dave, not a debut, because he was on the gauntlet for the X Division belt that PD won the belt from. So, Dave, do your research. There was apparently rumors going around that they were thinking of doing a Ring of Honor versus TNA feud, but that was going nowhere. That wasn't real. Some notes from Bound for Glory. Samoa Joe versus Jushin Liger was originally slated to go 20 minutes. Even when they changed the show around and added the Gauntlet Battle Royal, they were still supposed to do a longer match. It's not exactly clear why it happened, but they were in there working the beginning of a long match. At about 5 minutes in, the ref told them to go home, so they just went home.
I wonder why. Have we ever found out?
I wonder, is it the kind of thing, it's like, we don't want to tell Joe to his face that we're cutting his time, so we'll send him out there and then cut his time. Liger expressed interest in returning, and they have an idea for a potential TV special in 2006 that he'd be a major part of. It's not a TV special, but he comes back for the World X Cup. There was consideration given to cancelling the Diamonds in the Rough match on pay-per-view when they added the Gauntlet. They went back and forth, but decided these guys were company guys and deserved the spot in the biggest show of the year. No, cut it. Also, the Gauntlet even ended up going 2 minutes long, so... Jarrett and Styles will be both appearing on Spike's Video Game Awards on the 12th.
Oh my god. Alright, time to find the Spike Video Game Awards for 2005!
On the 10th of December, Rock is also on the show. That was the original version of the Keeleys.
Wow, the OG Keeleys. Spike Video Game Awards 2005, Garrett. Alright, we got 75 categories, fucking strap in! Best Cast!
Keeley was host at this stage, wasn't he?
The VGAs were hosted by Samuel L. Jackson.
Poor Keeley didn't even get in. At what stage did Keeley? I always thought Keeley was always host of that, but
maybe he was just behind the scenes.
Because I know the thing was, like, he did it with Spike and for years, and then was eventually like, what if I just did it myself? And then he did it himself, and it was a much larger success than it was ever on Spike.
There's a lot of Midway Games was represented here, showing off Nowhere to Run.
That's probably why they timed the announcement, so that they would have some stuff going into the VGAs.
Musical performances by 50 Cent, Def Leppard, and Missy Elliott.
That was the year, I believe, 50 Cent Blood in the Sand came out, so that makes sense.
God. And show appearances by Charlize Theron, Kiefer Sutherland, Jack Black, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Rock, Vin Diesel, Carson Daly, Donald Faison, Jamie Presley, Josie Maran, Snoop Dogg, Exhibit, Carmen Electra, Natasha Bedingfield, Dane Cook, and others.
Ooh, others?
Like AJ Styles and Jeff Jarrett. Alright, Garrett. Best cast, of course, went to Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie.
I've never played that game, and I think I still have it around
I think
here
I
somewhere.
have played that game. Best wireless game. What does that mean?
I guess handheld?
Which went to Mark Echo's Getting Up, Contents Under Pressure.
Is it? Maybe it's a weird way of saying mobile game?
Maybe. What do you think? Best PC game, Garrett? Give me a guess.
For 2005...
Would you like the noms?
Oh, of course.
You have Battlefield 2, Call of Duty 2, World of Warcraft, Fear, and Sid Meier's Civilization 4?
Civ 4.
World of Warcraft.
Boo!
This is your favorite category, Garrett. Best RPG.
Final Fantasy 12.
That's not an option.
Damn.
Yeah, Jade Empire, X-Men Legends 2, Rise of the Apocalypse, Dungeon Siege 2, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, and World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft.
It was World of Warcraft! Garrett, best breakthrough technology. What was it? Just guess.
The Xbox 360.
That was a nom, Garrett, but it did not win.
Oh.
The PSP one.
Really?
Other noms were the facial motion capture in NBA Live 06, speech recognition in Nintendogs, and the Unreal Engine 3.
Heavy hitters, a lot of them.
Best multiplayer game went to Guild Wars. Best handheld game, Garrett. You're a handheld nerd.
Mario and Luigi, the Superstar Saga.
Lumines.
Oh, yeah, Luminous is a good game.
I've lost my plate. There we go, we're back. Best graphics.
God of War.
Not a contender. It was Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, that's fair.
Best military game, Call of Duty 2.
What a weird category. Best military game.
I guess because I don't want to say first-person shooter?
Why not?
Anyway, best first-person action, Fear. Oh my god. Best fighting game, with contenders like Soul Calibur 3, Tekken 5, Darkstalkers Chronicle, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, Fight Night Round 2.
Those boxing games were good.
Sure. Tekken 5 and Soul Calibur 3 are there.
No, those boxing games were real good.
Most addictive game. We Love Katamari, Lumines, Nintendogs, Meteos, or World of Warcraft.
I feel like it has to be World of Warcraft.
Yeah, of course it's World of Warcraft. Best driving game, Burnout Revenge. Designer of the Year went to David Jaffe of God of War. Best original score, We Love Katamari. Best soundtrack went to Guitar Hero.
That's fucking bullshit. You gave best soundtrack to Guitar Hero.
I mean, technically.
Nah.
Other contenders, GTA, Liberty City Stories, 50 Cent, Bulletproof, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, and SSX on Tour.
So they literally licensed, because all of those are licensed soundtracks.
Yeah, it's not best OST. Best original song went to Maybe We Crazy by 50 Cent.
It's a big year for 50 Cent.
Best supporting female performance went to Tracy Lords as Madame Cassandra Harts in True Crime, New York City. Rosario Dawson was also nominated for that. Best performance by a human female.
Please read that category again.
Best performance by a human female.
As opposed to what?
Best supporting female performance doesn't specify human.
That's true. It could be a dog. Mm-hmm. It's one of the Westminster Dog Show dogs, actually, who did the actual performance and motion capture for 50 Cent Blood in the Sand.
Excuse me, it was Bulletproof.
Was it Bulletproof? Damn it.
Best winner of best performance by a human female, Charlize Theron as Aeon Flux in Aeon Flux.
You've never heard of Aeon Flux?
What's Aeon Flux?
It's a game that I've never played, but it was in like reduced sections for years when I was a kid.
What, is it a game or a movie?
It's a game.
Did she win for the movie?
I assume it's a licensed game based on a movie.
I think she won for the movie.
Which is the reason it's human female, I guess?
Maybe.
You know, the Keeleys have always loved weirdly flirting with other media.
Oh yeah, it's because much like wrestling, everyone in video games is like very embarrassed to be in video games. Best supporting male performance. Oh my, this is pathetic, by the way. Best supporting male performance is Christopher Walken as Gabriel Whitting in True Crime New York City. Other people nominated for best performance at a fucking video game awards: Eminem, Dr. Dre, Michael Clark Duncan, and P. Diddy. Go fuck yourself, Keeley. Best performance by a human male. Who do you think fucking won? It was Jack Black. Okay? Other noms, 50 Cent, Michael Chiklis, and Sean Connery.
The prospective voice actor in you is coming out.
T.C. Carson was the one nominated guy for Kratos. Like, fuck off. Fuck off. Best game based on a movie.
Chronicles of Riddick.
It was Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie.
Damn.
Cyber Vixen of the Year.
Liam, please explain to me what a cyber vixen is.
Character you want to fuck?
Is it like an e-girl?
Yeah.
Are we talking VTubers? That there's a real weird world where VTubers are called cyber vixens.
Vixens. Your nominees: Charlize Theron in Aeon Flux, Jessica Alba as the Invisible Woman in Fantastic Four, Tracy Lords as Cassandra Hayes, and Laurence Bouvard as Joanna Dark in Perfect Dark Zero. There's a Perfect Dark Zero nom! Hell yeah. Maria Menounos won as Ava in James Bond 007 From Russia with Love.
That also ties us in. She is a pro wrestling star. She's worked.
Exactly. Best team sports game.
FIFA.
Madden.
Oh, American football. Fuck off.
FIFA was not nominated.
Bias.
Best individual sports game. Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
Tony Hawk had lost his luster at this stage. Get off that bandwagon.
Action Game of the Year, Garrett. We're in the top 2 categories now, so I'm going to make you guess. These are your eligible contenders. Resident Evil 4.
Yes.
Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie.
Resident Evil.
The Warriors. God of War. 50 Cent, Bulletproof.
I'm going to stick with Resident Evil. That's going to be God of War, isn't it?
And the award for Action Game of the Year goes to God of War.
What was the category I said God of War in earlier that it absolutely should have been in? Best graphics. Feels like it should have been
best graphics, I think you said, yeah. And now, for the most prestigious award of the evening, Cyber Vixen of the Year. Game of the Year, your nominees. Call of Duty 2, Fear, Resident Evil 4, God of War, World of Warcraft.
I'm going to go with World of Warcraft.
your winner, Resident Evil 4.
What the fuck is that? It didn't win Best Action Game, but did win
it's
Game
like
of the
how
Year?
like with the Keeleys now, they'll give them like all the other awards, and then Game of the Year will go to like the one they actually want to give it to.
That makes no sense, though. Both of them are just action games.
Yeah, but God of War is a better action game, but Resident Evil 4 is a better game.
What else does it have? Bad cutscenes? The only Resident Evil I've actually played is 2. But still.
Well, that was the 2005 Spike TV Game Awards.
Jarrett and AJ are there. I think there's actually some footage on upcoming impacts of them at the original. Actually,
I wonder what
it's not the
they
original
presented.
Keelys, yeah, they were like, here's Cyber Vixen of the Year.
Yeah, Cyber Vixen of the Year.
Jeff Jarrett hits Cyber Vixen of the Year with a guitar.
And AJ's just like, this ain't on the PlayStation.
We should add Cyber Vixen of the Year to our interview awards.
Oh yeah, let's add Cyber Vixen of the Year.
The TNA Cyber Vixens. Never mind the knockouts.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be sick, actually. Yeah, we're adding Cyber Vixen of the Year to the year-end awards. I don't know what it's going to mean. Wait, we don't have a knockout of the year yet because we haven't had knockouts, so now it's the Cyber Vixen of the Year.
One of the reasons Spike is strongly behind TNA is because Morphoplex is spending $200,000 per month to sponsor the shows. Spike gets that money, which is why TNA isn't buying time, because if it was, then TNA would be keeping the sponsorship money. So Morphoplex paying a pretty hefty sponsorship fee to sponsor the early days of TNA Impact here. Some sad news. The day of Genesis was the day that Eddie Guerrero passed away, which is one of those weird things where it's a bunch of people going out there to wrestle. Like, Dave was super down on Genesis, if you actually read his review of the show. And I think he was kind of projecting a little bit, where he was like, the crowd didn't seem to be able to get into the matches because, like, the specter of Eddie's death kind of hung over everybody. And I'm like, I thought the crowd was pretty good that night. I think that's just kind of you.
Yeah.
Which I thoroughly get if you're like, I'm not really in the mood to watch wrestling tonight.
And also, like, someone who had a connection with the guy, too.
Conan, who knew Guerrero the best and longest of anybody in TNA, was told by Dixie Carter that he could go home and didn't have to wrestle. He responded something to the effect of, yes, I do have to. And Conan did do a promo on the show acknowledging Eddie before the 3LK match. And there was also a card at the start of the show dedicating the show to Eddie Guerrero.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it didn't just happen, so...
It didn't?
No, Garrett, I have known about this for a while.
Oh, I do remember that because my brother was a big Eddie fan, and I just remember,
Who wasn't?
like, the extent to which it came out of nowhere. It's that, and obviously the Benoit one, and then the way the Benoit one played out, and like the range of emotions you would have felt in that first day of the Benoit one. But yeah, those two deaths, particularly over the course of 2 years or so, year and a half-ish, were.
See, I it was always really weird for me because I didn't get into wrestling till both of them had died. So like to me they've never been on TV live.
Yeah, I get it's like the more recent comparisons would obviously be very recently Bray Wyatt and Brody Lee. That kind of like just sudden shock. Jay Briscoe, of course. That those kind of just sudden shocks of people that are beloved are suddenly just gone. And obviously Benoit is
Yeah, well, that's the most unique of circumstances.
But yeah, with Eddie and like listen, Eddie was not sadly uncommon. Like, that was during an era where a lot more wrestlers died in their 30s and 40s, particularly in like the 20 years before that. You would see a lot more wrestlers die around the age that Eddie Guerrero was, and thankfully that's not as much a thing anymore.
Which is like why it's like so shocking now.
Yeah, it's the reason the stuff like Bray hits that extra a bit hard. It's just because it's just not commonplace, thankfully, for wrestlers to die that young anymore. And when it does happen, it just hits like a ton of bricks.
It knocks you on your ass.
Yeah, but the thing of just going out and wrestling that night must feel a little weird. Like, even for people who don't know Eddie, like, Eddie is one of the more influential wrestlers ever. Obviously, I think he almost became more influential after his death than he was while he was alive. Like the legacy of Eddie has obviously lived on substantially past his death, and you can't listen to an interview with an NXT wrestler anymore without them literally citing Eddie every time as one of their biggest influences. But yeah, it must have been just weird to go out there and just put on a wrestling show. But But then, like, wrestlers are wrestlers, like Conan's attitude, it's like, I absolutely have to go out there and wrestle, because that's what we do. And I think that is generally the attitude of wrestlers. And Chris Jericho did an interview on Between the Ropes Radio, saying he's talking about writing a book about a specific part of his career. He's taking acting classes, doing auditions, and is up for a potential major role in his current absence from WWE. He said the TNA thing, where he posted a TNA graphic on his website, was just done to shake up the internet and have fun. He said he did email Vince McMahon before he did it, but he ended up getting phone calls from Jeff Jarrett, Scott D'Amore, and John Laurinaitis about what the hell was going on. He never heard back from Vince, but Laurinaitis did write him back saying, great rib. He was glad Christian left for TNA. On going to TNA, he said, never say never, but that McMahon was the best boss he ever worked for, and he felt he was loyal to him, but not to anyone else in WWE. He also said he doesn't necessarily think he owes Vince anything, but he would give him a courtesy call if he was ever thinking about going somewhere else. But he said he loves watching TNA, that Samoa Joe was his favorite wrestler to watch, AJ Styles is awesome in the ring, and he would advise both not to go to WWE and stay in TNA and help grow the company. To be honest with you, says Jericho, a dirty little secret, and Vince will be angry to hear this, I actually watch TNA a little bit more than WWE now.
Should go, Jericho.
Honestly, with his pal Christian there, I'm sure he's buddies with D'Amore based on Canadians. So
all Canadians are friends.
It's the rule. Like, D'Amore knows Callis. Callis is pals with
You
Jericho.
know what? It would have
best
been
friends.
a great bit if Jericho did go and they redid the Christian segment, except he did join Team Canada.
Him as like the front man of Team Canada would have been great.
I wonder, do you think that would have been like gangbuster for TNA?
I don't know. Like, Jericho is a Christian tier guy in 2005. Like, he reached the top of WWE. He did have a title run, but I feel like he was always like, he's a little above Christian, but he's nowhere near like an actual headline guy. Like Jericho is a weird case in that he elevated himself into that position almost by attrition, like almost by just hanging around long enough so that everybody who was ahead of him wasn't wrestling anymore, and all of a sudden he was like the big star of that generation and the only one left and the only one still wrestling, so he became kind of by default a bigger star than he actually was in his prime. Because like most of his WWE run, there was like 5+ guys in front of him in terms of like featured acts.
I mean, like, it's still Jericho. It would have been like another giant star.
Yeah, if you're to say like him or Foley at this stage, I think Foley's a bigger deal than Jericho.
Yeah.
Jeremy Borash and Scott D'Amore went with Bret Hart on November 6th in New York. They talked about coming in for TV, and Hart has mentioned many times about being interested, but the general feeling is nothing is happening anytime soon. And Hart is going to Italy for an extended stay in December, so there's no dates at the moment. He's also at this point very unlikely for the WWE Hall of Fame this year or anything other than Europe. I have no idea what Dave is saying in that sentence. But yeah. But
So it's a regular Dave sentence.
all right, let's try and break it. He's also at this point very unlikely for the WWE Hall of Fame this year or anything other than Europe. So he's saying that he's the only thing he is likely to do is Europe, but he has phrased it, I think, in the most awkward way possible.
Yeah.
But that's the news.
Bret Hart should be in Team Canada.
It's a relatively short news section that we have taken the world's longest asides in.
Yeah. You know, we got to make up for it that it was only like 3 pages.
That brings us to broad topics, starting with the NWA World Title match.
I'm sorry, it's really hard to fake it like that. As if there hasn't been 3 days in between these two parts.
Slipped seamlessly in.
Just this be like, and yes, we just completed the news portion. It's time to do the running down of the shows.
Yeah, we are seamless professionals. No one will ever know any wiser.
Except right now, they'll know.
That does bring us to broad topics. We are starting with the NWA World Title program, of which there is technically none. The main event of the pay-per-view is a 6-man tag, but they do a title match on TV. So October 29th, Impact, Jeff Jarrett comes out, and he's like, I will take my rematch next week on the primetime special. The crowd chant, where is your title? And then they do like a really hard cut to a primetime special spot, like right after a word he said. So part of me is like, what did they cut? What did he say that they needed to cut?
What did he flub?
What did Double J say? Did he go, was like, I didn't lose the title, I'd never lose titles.
I'd never lose a title, not even once.
But yes, so he will get his title match, his rematch against Rhino on the primetime special. Main event of that episode, America's Most Wanted faced BG James and Ron Killings.
Nothing gets you more fired up than an America's Most Wanted 3LK main event.
Well, at least America's Most Wanted main event. Like, when you were saying that sentence, like, nothing gets you more fired up than an America's Most Wanted, I was like, yeah! But then you did get to the 3LK part, which did bring me down a little bit.
This is too big a shades of, like, the last 2 years. I thought we have more teams now.
Do we? I think that's still the part of the the X Division is absolutely fucking loaded. There's so many people in the X Division right now. And the world title scene, you know, you got Christian and Rhino added. You still had Jarrett and Raven. Those people are still there.
Monty Brown is perpetually on the outside.
Yeah, you get Abyss and Hardy as well, I guess. But, like, the tag team is still, like, the Naturals, AMW.
You got Team 3D.
Yeah, you do get Team 3D. That is, like, the addition that at least makes it fresh for a little bit. So, the highlight of this match was Ron Killings wearing Storm's hat and then doing a little dance.
Of course.
Killings did a big dive, and then BG just kind of looked over. He didn't do the, like, tease doing a dive, I'm not going to do it. He just kind of looked over the ropes and was like, carry on.
Because, you know, the first one would require charisma.
TNA announces, it was actually, I think, announced online, but this is the first mention that the main event of Genesis will be Team 3D and Rhino versus America's Most Wanted and Jarrett in a 6-man tag.
That'll sell pay-per-views.
You don't want to see a big 6-man? How do you feel about a big 6-man main eventing a pay-per-view?
If it's like a good wrestlers. Like, if it's like an all-star 6-man, you can get away with it, I suppose, but I don't know. You have to have a real strong undercard.
It's like, this 6-man is very much these people will be in the tag title match and the world title match the month after, so we are doing this as a little half step so we can kind of cheat a month to get to that. So it isn't really like the kind of, as you said, the kind of 6-man where you're like, whoa, this is 6 of the best in there.
I think it has to be like, this is gonna be some like blow you away work rate thing. Like the all-in 6-man main event where you're like, oh, this is going to be nuts.
Or look at these like legendary wrestlers interacting for the first time.
Yeah, it needs to have some sort of bite to it, which this does not.
And even like what the match ended up being, which was like a big like superheated plunder brawl around the building. Like they didn't even like promote it as that, really.
Yeah, they could have like promoted it as like no DQ or something, or a street fight or whatever, like something to give it a little like gravitas.
Yeah, or like because like Anarchy in the Arena was like my reference point when thinking about it, because that's kind of what it was, or at least a smaller version of it, where like literally the whole match was crowd brawling for the most part. But in a rare instance, pretty good crowd brawling as opposed to Jarrett crowd brawling, which is usually terrible. But if they like come up with a brand for that,
Sanity in the Soundstage.
Yeah, Sanity in the Soundstage. There you go.
Or Insanity in the Soundstage, I guess. Sanity in the Soundstage isn't as doesn't exactly inspire a lot of chaos. They're just like, all right, regular 6-man tag, following the rules.
That's actually the new name for a 6-man tag. It's Sanity in the Soundstage.
And then Insanity in the Soundstage when they do the brawl.
It's like a fight. Every Ring of Honor match is a fight with honor because they adhere to the Code of Honor. And then you have fights without honor every so often. So yeah, like they could have done something to juice it up in terms of how they promoted it, because like they were just like, the referee is like, fuck it, go on, because they never actually made it like a no DQ match, I don't think, at any stage. It's just they just worked it like that. BG went for a pump handle slam, but Gale distracted him. Conan chases off Gale. Demore looks to use the hockey stick, but Kip grabs it and gives it to BG. BG goes to use it, but then Harris grabs it, allowing that brief distraction, the opening for Storm to hit a super kick for the win. Kip and Conan argue.
Wow. What fresh take in this story where Kip and Conan argue.
Well, a note from Conan. Conan got some heat for doing a radio show where he complained about creative and said his own angle was stale.
I mean, he's not wrong.
They've been doing this. We're currently in November. This has started when Kip debuted, which was what, February? It was the Nash match, right?
1,000,000 years ago, I think, roughly.
I'm pretty sure it was the Nash match where he ran out for the first time. So we've been doing this since February, and we will still be doing this for another while longer. But we're not on 3LK Family Drama yet. That's how we close our shows. We're not allowed allowed to talk about it this early. We're actually breaking the law.
That's illegal.
So the main event, quote unquote, of this episode was Team 3D arriving after they returned to Bound for Glory, after they were taken out by AMW and left in a bloody mess, and after the Team 3D funeral and all that. So they come out to address their enemies. Bully asks for the crowd to give AMW a round of applause because they've done something that no other team has done. They took out Team 3D, but they made a deadly mistake. They didn't finish the job. Deadly mistake. See what he did there?
He's gonna kill them with a deadly Dudley Dingus Destroyer.
That's what 3D stands for.
The 4D.
They're calling for every single person in that funeral home. So starting next week, they'll face the Canadians.
Even the people even the cameraman,
Yeah, they're
people employed.
going to wrestle Gale.
Damn. Well, I believe that for Bully.
I noticed they called out the Canadians, and then they're going after Jarrett and AMW. Not a word about Abyss.
They're scared.
They are.
Or James Mitchell.
They don't want to deal with the devil.
They should have done James Mitchell and Abyss versus Team 3D.
But yeah, they're like, we want Canadians next week on the primetime special. Demore comes out with his boys. Rude grabs the mic and says, we don't have to wait until the primetime special. 5-on-1 attack, or 5-on-2 attack, I guess. Trail K make the save as 3D. Hit the 3D on A1. They go to get Demore, but Jarrett and AMW come out. And then Rhino, on his new NWA World Champion first episode, Rhino, just does a brief brawl for 15 seconds at the very end of the episode.
Because he's not really champion.
They could at least give him a little promo. Let him be like, aha, I beat you, Jarrett, gore, gore, gore. Which I believe would have been the full extent of the promo. But he comes out right at the end of the episode to do a little brawling before he then loses the belt the next week. Ugh, poor Rhino. So yes, November 3rd, 2005, the prime time special. Jarrett is with franchise. He believes if he loses, he'll be fired again. He's still doing that conspiratorial stuff. Tonight, he's going to make world history, like the moon landing, gravity, the phone, the light bulb. This moment will live alongside all of those things.
I like the world history of gravity.
Yeah, one of the most important world history events, the discovery of gravity.
Not the discovery. It's just gravity existing. Yeah.
Which has existed, I believe, for all of world history, but I guess I don't know. Was there ever a period where we didn't have gravity?
I'll Google it. You keep going.
Yeah, scientists, let me know. Monty walks up, it's like, what's up, Aristotle? Because he's talking about all these world history events.
Monty rules.
Jared's like, what are you, a stalker? To which Monty replies, stalking you, always.
I've Googled, did we ever not have gravity? And I choose to believe that the jury's still out.
There's a lot of people who choose to believe a lot of things about science, I guess, so go for it.
Yeah, that's going to be my new thing. Gravity's fake.
I wonder how you could even try and sell the idea that gravity is fake. It's actually a government thing. They have machines that hold you on Earth, and if they turned them off, we'd have no gravity.
In the center of the Earth, it's actually just a big machine that's going whoa, 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 whoa.
They're stopping you from flying. If it wasn't for this government overlords intervening in your life, you would be able to fly. But no, they suck you. Literally suck you.
And that's why all
back
birds
to
are
Earth.
drones.
Monitoring the gravity machines?
Yeah, they're the only things that are allowed to fly. No, nothing else has ever flown.
What about planes?
Not real.
Ah, there's large birds.
And everyone has ever said they've been on a plane as an actor.
When was the last time you were on a plane?
A while ago, but I mean, all the time.
That's the thing I find funny, like, because like you have less reason to fly places because you're all the way down there. So flying anywhere cool is really far away, as opposed to like Europeans who are like, there's a load of countries right around us, so we're always on planes.
Europeans who are like, I'm gonna go to the shops, hops on plane.
Off to Belgium we go.
Yeah.
I do like it's like, what, are you stalking me? And Monty's like, yes, I really am. That's my whole thing.
I'm hunting you.
So Monty wants a title match, and Monty wants Jeff to win so Monty can take the belt from him. Which does bring us to the main event of that episode. There's a feature on Jarrett in the episode, a Planet Team 3D and Planet Jarrett recap. But the main event for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, Jeff Jarrett defeated Rhino to become champion again for the 5th time?
50th time.
And not the last one.
Ah.
We do only have one more after this.
Every time he wins it, I just go, come on, this could be the last one, though.
You do have that little bit of hope that surely this is the last one, but it is the second last one.
We're almost there.
So they had moving graphics for the tail of the tape where Rhino was like doing a gore pose and Jeff Jarrett was doing his laugh, and they also had cool like NWA title screen transitions where like the title did the screen wipe. Thought all that was nice.
Very cool. Just like a 2K23 creator belt.
Do they do that in that?
Yeah.
See, that's cool. They should bring that to TV then.
They do the little swipes. You can give them custom swipes.
Fancy. Shockingly, they did a lot of crowd brawling. Rhino went for the Rhino driver, but Gale's distraction allowed Jarrett to push him off the top. Rhino tried to turn around a figure four. Gale went for a leg drop, but missed. Rhino was going to press slam Gale through a table, which naturally, because this is 2005 or really any period in wrestling history, that made him a giant babyface. But the ref stopped him. Respectful referee here. Stop hurting women.
Boo.
Rudy Charles, the most respectful man in the industry.
Rudy Charles is actually sexist.
Yeah, he wouldn't stop anybody else from going through a table.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially because he's not in the match. It's not like if he was trying to put Jarrett through a table, it would be illegal.
Just because Gail's a woman, she can't get thrown through a table.
Rhino bumped Rudy with a clothesline. Rhino hit the gore, but there was no ref. AMW run out. Death sentence Rhino through a table off the top on the floor. They were on the floor. Leg drop from the top through a table on the floor, which probably isn't good for your tailbone.
No, well, that move is not good for anyone's tailbone ever.
Yeah, poor Chris Harris. Jarrett hits the stroke, and Jarrett is once again NWA World Champion.
Yay.
Earlier in the show, they did a promo. I don't think it was in the version of the show we watched for Genesis that did bill Jarrett as NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So
it was an old promo.
I actually do think it was. I think it was a promo that was produced pre-Bound for Glory.
Before they realized they were going to put the title on Rhino.
Yeah, so it was like produced before Bound for Glory when Jarrett was champion, but aired before Jarrett became champion again. So it was a mistake for the right reasons, but still a dumb mistake. Team 3D didn't help because they were handcuffed to a rail and bloodied backstage with the inference that AMW stopped them. So then, November 12th Impact, we get a parade of challenger stuff at the start, which we'll talk about when we're talking about Monty and Hardy, I guess. And main event of that episode was America's Most Wanted and Jeff Jarrett against Chris Sabin, Lance Hoyt, and Jeff Hardy, which I thought was a real nice little TV main event. Particularly I thought Chris Sabin looked very good here. Jeff does a crazy dive where he just steps up off of Hoyt and briefly steps on the ropes and then dives onto AMW. And it looked like the kind of dive where he could have tripped on the ropes and somehow didn't, and just looked kind of cool instead.
It's that controlled chaos element, you know, where you're like, oh, this could go wrong in a million ways, but nope, it kind of works. I love that this feels like a year or two ago where it's like, oh, Chris Sabin's just randomly in a TV main event with all the heavyweights out of nowhere.
Yeah, if I were to guess, I think it was meant to be Sabu, because this is the same trio that faced Diamonds in the Rough on the primetime special, but Sabu broke his toe in that match. So I assume it was meant to be just, oh, they'll also wrestle AMW and Jarrett in the TV main event next week. Sabu was out, so yeah, just fuck Chris Sabin in there.
Yeah, like that just feels like so Asylum.
And like they did like give Sabin a bunch. He ran wild on AMW. He hit a big tornado DDT for like a real close near fall. Like Jarrett gave him a 2.99 on it, probably because he was getting pinned. But so Kale crotches Sabin up top, and Jarrett does hit a middle rope stroke to beat Chris Sabin.
Ooh,
they're really protecting Chris Sabin here, rightfully so. They're going to hit Hardy with a guitar after the match, but Rhino makes the save. Team 3D come out and they quickly brawl to end the show. Oh, we didn't even talk about Team Canada and Team 3D. I guess that we should talk about that. That was on the primetime special too. It was a very long match, and it was fine.
It sure was.
It was a 101 Heat comeback finish tag match that also happened to be like 15 minutes.
And Bubba beat everyone up.
And like this is the period now where we're firmly in panic Eric Young, scared, paranoid Eric Young, where he's
it's the best. Like everything, he's just so upset 24/7.
He does jump at his pyro for the first time, and he doesn't take the bump for it, but he does like the jump scare, grab his heart for it for the first time, I think. This month.
He's been selling the pyro like already, but now he's like fully like
he just does not like it. Everybody's out to get Eric Young. There was heat in Bubba in this match apparently for taking liberties. He was working a little too stiff, and like there's a note that like Joe works like that too, but everyone expects it, as opposed to Bubba's like no.
Bubba's just like, Joe can do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it's built into the big Bubba and Joe match, which probably...
Did they ever have a big singles?
I think they had one in the Bound for Glory series in 2012, I want to say. But I don't remember was that any good. It feels like those two would have a very good match in the right circumstances.
Don't worry, we'll get there. We'll find out.
This is TNA once again during this match. Please, for the love of God, call your friends. And he's like, if you have a friend who may have been turned off by some other wrestling, for the love of God, call them.
On this network.
A1 tries to use the hockey stick, but 3LK take it from him. 3D hit the 3D on EY for the win.
See, the problem that Mike Tenay is facing is his expectation that wrestling fans have friends.
Yeah, that is a problem they may run into. That's actually the only reason this show did an equivalent rating to what they were doing on Saturday nights.
Yeah, call your friends and they're like, who?
Yeah, and then they actually felt bad about the fact that they didn't have friends and stopped watching.
And they cried.
Main event of the pay-per-view is a 6-man tag team match. It is America's Most Wanted and Jeff Jarrett versus Team 3D and Rhino. As said, it was basically like the entire match was a big arena-wide brawl. There was a fun, like, reoccurring theme through the match of tables not being used, which would outrage 2023 fans who love nothing more than chanting, "We want tables."
Let it be known, I was shitting on crowds for the We Want tables like years before everyone else started getting on their nerves.
You know what the worst circumstance of that chant is? When there will obviously be tables.
Or when there's already been a table.
But like in a match where it's like there will be a table bump in this match, and even if that counts as like AEW pay-per-view main event where they'll always do an announced table spot, like there will be a table bump. You will be fine. Have some page, or like was it Stadium Stampede or one of those matches or like they were doing fucking nail board spots and they were chanting, "We want tables." It's like no.
Yeah, I just think it's perfect that this is something I've been complaining about on audio for years, and now everyone else has caught up to me, thus proving that, again, I should be in charge because I know what everyone else is going to be feeling.
Yeah, years before.
Yeah, I've been complaining about this since Wednesday War Games.
That's 4 years now. So Rhino goes to gore Jarrett down through a table that's set up at like the entrance tunnel. So he's going to gore him through a table down the tunnel, but then Storm intercepts that with a super kick. Bully was going to powerbomb Harris through a table, but Storm moved the table and Harris just landed flat on the floor, to which I would be like, I would take the table bump, thank you very much.
Yeah, but in canon.
It probably hurts a great deal more to be just powerbombed on the floor. 3D were going for a double suplex, but the table was moved. AMW were going for a death sentence through a table, but it was intercepted. So like that was the little like reoccurring theme, the little story through the show, through the match. That there was like none of the tables were used, but they were teased to be used all the time. So big crowd wide brawl, everyone's fighting, everyone's brawling. Crowd was super into it. The crowd like there's great crowd heat for this, which is I think like that's what makes crowd brawls work. If there's not heat, they're good. If there is heat, they're bad, or the other way around. If there's not heat, they're bad. If there is heat, they're good. That's the way crowd brawling.
I was gonna say that's a hell of a take to have.
I like the silent crowd brawling.
Oh, then you're one of those guys who are like New Japan was better in the clap era.
Yeah, I just like to hear the visceral sound of crowd brawling. I just want to hear the thuds and the kapows and whatnot. All the Batman 66 sounds, I think.
Yeah, you can accept some claps. But not a single word should be uttered by the crowd.
So you can hear the intensity of the action.
Yeah, everything should sound like a Chris Jericho match in Japan.
Unnecessary, but I approve. Right, Jarrett and Rhino brawl.
Hey, he's like one of the people who started that myth.
He is. It was all over his book. That it's like, oh, they're very different. They're very respectful. They just sit there and silently pay attention. It's like, not if you're fucking over. They don't.
You never seen a Miss Sour match?
They lose their mind, unlike any crowd you've ever seen in your life.
The most passionate pro wrestling fans of all time. You just went over. Super Liger ass bitch.
I hope people start spreading like myths about that, about like modern WWE. It's like they're actually just the most attentive.
They're
fans.
Respectful. They're just really into the bloodline, and they're because are you hooting and hollering when you're watching The Sopranos? No, you're sitting there and you're ingesting the media.
There is nothing people hate more than people who are loud in the cinema. So when you're watching cinema, you should not be loud.
Unless it is the cinematic equivalent of a WWE show, like a Marvel movie, and it's like, oh, the entrance of the characters here, let's all go fucking nuts.
Well, the most famous, like, that scene is literally the entrance of the characters in Endgame. That is literally, like, hit the music and guys do entrances.
Yeah, like, that's the only, group of movies that I will accept you hooting and hollering in a movie theater for. I wish that was all movies. I wish, like, when the bomb dropped in Oppenheimer, my whole cinema just fucking went nuts.
Yes!
In, like, the minute of silence, the crowd's just going fucking crazy.
They're like the crowd in the scene afterward in that hall. Just, like, waving their flags and going, like, fuck yeah!
I'm having PTSD from it.
Jarrett and Rhino brawled up to the Spanish announce desk where Jarrett hit a low blow. Rhino fell off the desk. The desk was like elevated in the stands for some reason. So he falls like 7 feet down to a series of bleachers, of which he also then falls down like 7 bleachers. It's like, Rhino, what are you doing?
It's very uncomfortable.
Harris and Storm bled a bunch. Storm tries to fuck a beer bottle at Bully, which was great, but then Bully moved. Literally just tried to, like, literally hurl it at him.
He literally tried to fuck a beer bottle.
Yeah, Storm, always fucking beer bottles.
That's the character, right?
Rhino hits the goer on Jarrett, but Harris pulled the referee out. 3D on Storm for the win. But then, the post-match angle. Earlier in the show, we had the debut. You might have heard of him. The instant classic Christian Cage.
Yeah, we talked about it in depth already.
Yeah, so we've covered all of the actual, like, debut promo and whatnot. So at the end of the show, he comes out. Bully's trying to powerbomb Gail through Jarrett through a table. So Gail's been having a rough time of all she ever does is be threatened with physical violence.
It's like, they were like, oh, Gail, this amazing person, we're signing her, bringing her in, blah, 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 blah. And, like, all she's done has just been, like, a prop.
Gail doesn't work a match until, like, July.
It's insane.
All she does is be threatened with violence at all times.
Why even hire her at that point?
Well, they want women on the show, but also they don't want to book women on the show. So Jarrett goes to put Devon through a table off the top, but Christian comes out. He takes off his entrance jacket to reveal a Team Canada t-shirt.
Scott D'Amore is he is, like, flabbergasted, but, like, yes, I can't believe that you've done it, yes.
Yeah, like, my favorite part is when you look at D'Amore's facial expressions and Christian reveals the shirt, the first part of it is, like, legitimate, like, wait, really? Before he goes into earnest enthusiasm, very happy. He hugs Christian, then Christian transitions that into an unprettier on D'Amore. 3D and Christian then hit a 3-man 3D. That's, I guess, the 3D on Jarrett through a table as we go off the air. So Christian has not...
It's the 9D.
Why is it the 9D?
The 3x3D.
Oh, okay. But that would mean they would be a 4D if it was regular 4.
No, 3x3, 3x3, 9.
But if it's 2 people doing it 3D, then...
Because it's a 3D by 3.
But it's a 3D by 2.
3x3D.
I guess it's a...
Fine, what if we just call it the 3x3D?
Okay. I guess it would be a 6D rather than a 4D, because if by that logic, it's a 3x2D if it's just Bubba and Devon, so it's a 6D. But yes, they 3D Jarrett through a table as we go off the air. I like the main event. It's a real fun plunder brawl. A rare instance of Jarrett doing crowd brawling where it absolutely didn't suck. Which
well, because there's 5 other people.
And there's heat. And yeah, AMW and Harrison Storm bleeding. So that always helps. But yes, Christian Cage is a good guy here in TNA Wrestling.
For now.
So we do have Monty doing stuff. He's around.
In a sense.
We talked about a bunch of the stuff he did where he's basically just hovering around Jarrett for the month. But on the primetime special, he does have maybe the best squash match in Impact history.
It's so funny, like, reading about the, like, backstage shit of it.
Yeah, so, like, the squash was very straightforward. It's the best squash match in history, not because it's, like, particularly notable. He just hits 3 bounces. He's wrestling Brian Gamble, who Mike Tenay says was an American Gladiator, which made me think he was, like, one of the cool guys in American Gladiator.
That's what I thought, too.
And no, he was just a contestant on American Gladiator.
That means you're not... Did he win?
I don't think so.
If he wins, you can call him that, but...
Like, when you say, oh, they're an American Gladiator, I think of, like, you know, Matt Morgan was an American Gladiator. Magnus was there's a weird number of TNA American Gladiators. Magnus was a TNA Gladiator, or a Gladiator in the UK. Oblivion, the Big O. But contestants? Fuck off, Mike. But yes, he hit 1 pounce. The crowd chanted 1 more time. He hit a 2nd pounce. The crowd chanted 1 more time, and he hit a 3rd pounce. And my favorite thing is, like, every time he hit the pounce, like, Brian Gamble was dead. So he'd spend, like, 30 seconds just picking up Brian Gamble and, like, holding him in place before then pouncing him again. It was great.
My favorite, I thought it was all, like, Monty just reading the crowd. And I was going to give him so much credit, but now apparently it wasn't that.
I think it was the case that he just did another one, but, like, there was just discussion about whether or not that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I get.
Because it was more the case, like, when he came back, people were like, oh, you know, you're lessening, you're a heel, so you shouldn't be reacting to the crowd like that, because that's a baby
but he
face.
shouldn't be a fucking heel.
He shouldn't be, and it's so, go back to, like, the first match he had after he lost to Jarrett was that squash against Johnny Devine, where he beat the shit out of Team Canada and seemed like the coolest guy in the world, and then they turn him heel. And it's like, why are you doing this? He is cool. all you want to do, like, Bill Goldberg shouldn't have been a heel. That would have been stupid. So he was a babyface who killed people and people cheered. That's what, like, the pounce is like a babyface move as it is. Yeah, he hits 3 pounces. So yeah, there was discussion afterwards about, like, one, that it would weaken his finish, which, like, it's not like Brian Gamble kicked out. Like, he just did the movie. And, like, even the way Monty set it up, as I said, he kind of emphasized that Brian Gamble was fucking dead after 1. He could not stand. And Monty's like, I'm going to pounce him again. So he didn't hurt his finish.
The third one looked like he was actually, like, murdered.
Yeah. And then the other thing was, like, should a heel do this? Which then goes back to the thing. It's like, he should not be a heel. He shouldn't be. When the crowd is chanting one more time after the heel hits his move in a squash match, maybe the guy shouldn't be a heel. Huh?
VG James and Sean Waltman telling him that it made his finish look weak because he had to use 3 to beat him. He didn't have to use 3 to beat him.
He chose to.
He did it because he's an ass.
Yeah. These people.
Brian Gamble, an extra on the TV show Mortal Kombat Conquest.
Oh, that's a good acting credential right there.
Which also featured appearances from Meng and Wrath.
Do you think he was, like, hanging out with the wrestlers on set? It's like, hey guys, I'm a wrestler too.
Maybe.
Brian Gamble, have you heard of me? When was the show?
It was during Nitro era.
Oh, so he couldn't even be I was the guy who was pounced by Monty on TV that time?
No. Mortal Kombat Conquest was like 98.
And then next Impact Go Home show, Monty Brown comes out and he's like, I would like a title shot because I've destroyed everybody.
Because I killed Brian Gamble.
He did kill an American gladiator, so he deserves it. He congratulates Jarrett, but Jarrett will feel the pounce up, period. Abyss comes out with Mitchell. Monty must have been eating poisonous berries because his brains are scrambled, which is a very silly line. Abyss deserves the title shot more. Then Jeff Hardy comes out. Jeff will be facing Monty at Genesis. And Jeff, as he's coming out on the ramp, he's like crawling for some reason. And he looks at the camera and says, I'm a monster! Ah!
It's actually the coolest thing Jeff's done his whole run.
We're coming right toward the end of the Jeff run. And you can really feel it, but in kind of a good way.
Yeah. It's crazy that he's about to have, like, his most successful top guy run.
Yeah, because he's about to go back to WWE where he's going to, like, go into the Intercontinental title picture and be, like, a really hot mid-card star and then become the hottest wrestler in WWE.
And then become world champion.
Like, I had a discussion with somebody at one stage about whether or not Jeff Hardy or CM Punk was a bigger star. And I was like, to the people Punk means something to, he means a lot to. But at the peak of Jeff Hardy's powers, he is the only babyface that was, like, on John Cena's level.
I think Jeff was the biggest star for a shorter period.
Yeah, like at their respective peaks, Jeff was absolutely positively a bigger star.
Yeah, but Punk had longevity as a star.
And Jeff jeffed every time he'd be...
Well, Punk punked, so...
That's true. They do implode at their stars for very different reasons.
When Punk starts his new promotion, he should bring Jeff in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep speaking it until it happens, because I want it to happen so badly.
I feel like modern fans don't realize just how big a star Jeff was in 2008. Like,
yeah, that was my, like, peak WWE fandom.
Not to be the Google Trends guy, but I was looking at it while having that discussion, and, like, the only babyface in WWE over the last 15 years that has peaked higher on Google Trends at any point than John Cena was Jeff Hardy during that run. It didn't last very long for various reasons, and it didn't come with him to TNA for various reasons. But 2008, 2009, Jeff Hardy was the biggest babyface in the company other than Cena, and bigger than Cena for a little bit.
It was insane. Jeff Hardy Mania was going wild.
So this segment was the classic Liam Jones special. Monty, Abyss, Hardy all coming out being like, I'd like to be number one contenders. Brawl, security separates them.
I attest that it's only a special when it's cool, but yeah, sure.
Do you have an issue with Abyss?
I just, like the end result for all this is wrestling Jeff Jarrett.
I'm a monster. Arr.
That's kind of sick, though. That was kind of sick, I won't lie.
Monty faces Hardy on the pay-per-view. And the match I thought was pretty okay for what it was.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like, as far as, like, a regular-ass match that was Jeff doing Jeff stuff, pretty good. Monty got to win.
Yeah, it was a 3-star mid-card match that was trying to be a 3-star mid-card match. I'm like, cool.
And that's not bad, you know. You don't need every... I mean, you know... an AEW pay-per-view, a little more of a high bar. But for what we have now, you know, I'll take a 3-star mid-card match.
But like, part of the reason some AEW pay-per-views do feel very badly paced is like everyone is going out there to have their 4.5-star match. And when, like, sometimes when that hits, you get like best pay-per-view of all time. And then other times it's like when everybody goes out there to have their 4.5-star match, it's like, oh, guys, it's exhausting. We had a million near falls in the last match. We were having a million near falls in this one, a million near falls in the next one. Sometimes it's like we went out there to have a 3-star pay-per-view match and we had a nice 3-star pay-per-view match. It works for pacing, I think.
I don't think you need it all the time. I think it really depends where on like textual stuff, but I do get the value in it.
Hardy tried to run along the rail, or not the rail, like, because the impact zone, there's the rail, which is like just a regular, very thin rail, which you couldn't really run along. And then behind that, there's the pit of fans, and behind that, at the front of the bleachers, I guess, there's like a little row that like denotes the front of the bleachers. So Hardy ran along that and tried to jump onto Monty, but he did the same thing he did when he tried to jump onto AMW, where he like briefly stepped on the rail but continued his momentum onto Monty. I'm like, are you like magic? Can you just stand on things like that and not die?
I think that's like where all of his body awareness goes. Is his ability to run on small surfaces. Remember that one time he like ate shit completely? I think it was in like a Fed match.
Don't.
Yeah, he was like running on it and he tripped.
Oh, that is the woes of being Jeff Hardy at all times. You might
But
eat
the
shit.
fact that I can only remember like one instance of that happening is pretty impressive.
Yeah, because he used to do it on the WWE barricade a lot, which is always a cool spot. He ate shit on a Whisper in the Wind, but then hit one shortly after. I talk about it in the watch along, but it's so remarkable how fast he hits the Whisper in the Wind. It's just like one of the... I've seen old Jeff Hardy for too long, where he very slowly goes up for the Whisper in the Wind, and it doesn't really hit it that well these days. That where you watch the one where he can like leap to the top into the Whisper in the Wind in like one fluid motion. You're like, oh yeah, he used to be young.
He did used to be young.
Hardy misses the swanton. Monty hits him with a pounce. Monty is, in theory, #1 contender, but I don't think he ever gets a title shot.
The story of Monty Brown.
That's true. Sabu and Abyss.
It's awesome. These guys are physically incapable of not having a fantastic match against each other. So I remember when we were getting up to Genesis, I got a message that was like, just you wait. Just you wait. You're going to get Sabu and Abyss again at another sleeper hit. And I was like, all right, let's go. And we got there and I was like, yes.
Would you like me to make you a little mad before we go into the bill for this match?
Sure.
Dave Meltzer gave Sabu and Abyss the rating of 1.5 stars.
I mean, yeah, but he gives like an Edge ladder match 10 stars. So what the fuck does he know?
There is a little bit of it where he's like moralizing about Eddie Guerrero. And he's like,
Oh, shut the fuck up.
yeah, where he's like, Eddie died and these guys are doing thumbtack spots for no reason that aren't even finishes. And I'm like, dude, shut up.
Like, shut up. Like, shut the fuck up.
October 29th Impact, Abyss faces Lance Hoyt in a rematch of their pay-per-view match.
Right, I'm so happy to see this match again.
Their pay-per-view match was great. This one was fine.
Yeah, but I'm sick of seeing the same matches over and over and over
You just
again.
hate Lance Hoyt now.
I do kind of hate Lance Hoyt now.
Abyss hit a chokeslam, Mitchell slid in a chair, Hoyt booted the chair into Abyss's face, but then Mitchell pulled Hoyt off. Abyss hit the Black Hole Slam for the win. He got some tax, but the lights went out. As they came back on, Sabu was running into position, so he wasn't quite there. He was like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
I was just thinking, you know, it would have been fun
What?
if when Hoyt debuted in AEW, instead of Jack the Snack, he had James Mitchell as his manager.
Yeah, it's a shame that, like, Mitchell still pops up at Impact every now and again doing Undead Realm stuff. But, like, it's crazy to me that, like, when this run ended, no one else was like, we need to get James Mitchell in here right now.
Yeah, this is like his like only big run in modern.
Yeah, like, the only other, like, he manages Max the Impaler in the NWA. That's, like, the only other, like, thing.
But this is his only major run in the modern era.
Yeah, that's, like, why aren't we hiring James Mitchell? I guess because WWE were on top for so long and they hate managers, I think is that...
He also probably, I can imagine he's like not super pumped travel a lot
He's doing his wedding DJ stuff, which is wild to think.
on AEW television.
Yeah. He would like. I do like the canonical. The Sinister Minister is in fact because he went right off the Johnny Bravo wedding into doing that as well. So it's just like, yes, he is the minister. He is overseeing these weddings.
He should do every wrestling wedding.
He should. It should be one of those things where every time there's a wrestling wedding, it's just Father James.
Do you think we'll ever get another AEW wedding angle?
I think so. Like, wedding angles are the kind of thing that, like, people might think are too sports entertainment-y, but, like, nah, they're just wrestling staples.
I don't think we're going to get it again. Just because I think it feels a little too far away from what a modern AEW would do. I feel like it fits very, like, tightly into what they were, like, trying to, like, you know, keep things interesting and different during the pandemic era. But I can't imagine them doing one in front of, like, a full arena. Or an 80% full arena.
Or, well, based on some arenas, maybe a little less than 80.
There's no reason for us to take these shots. They're just funny.
You're just being petty, just to make people mad. Like, TNA had some great weddings. Like, the Aces and Eights one where Taz does the dramatic turn is very silly. The ODB and Eric Young steel cage wedding where Sarita and Rosita come out and attempt to like swoon Eric and to steal him away by doing sexy poses, and he has to overcome temptation to marry ODB. That's also a good bit.
I think weddings are fucking stupid.
There's the Laurel Van Ness wedding, which is maybe the best one. That one is an unbelievably good segment, but I don't know. They're silly wrestling nonsense. I'm on board with weddings.
Nah, no weddings in my wrestling.
No love. You don't want love in your wrestling.
No, love is all throughout pro wrestling, but I don't need a fucking wedding for it.
Sabu comes out, lights out, Sabu is up there, and he pulls off a cover over his arm to reveal barbed wire over his bloody arm, which, because this is Sabu, I'd like to think it's actually shoot blood.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So he has barbed wire over his arm, and this scares the shit out of Abyss. Abyss cowers away as he'll face Sabu in a no DQ match, suggesting that despite Abyss being a hardcore crazy person, he does not in fact particularly care for barbed wire.
He's scared, canonically.
Abyss had a large bruise on his leg from where Hardy landed on him from the Swanton Bomb at the pay-per-view, and Abyss was knocked out and seeing stars for about 10 seconds, even though his leg and not his head took the brunt of the punishment. So he was like, he just took that impact from that height that he was like winded and knocked into like complete like obliviousness for 10 seconds, and also had a very large bruise, but still worked TV the next day because Abyss is clearly a trooper. Opening match of the Primetime Special was a 6-man tag, as we were talking about it. It's Sabu, Lance Hoyt, and Jeff Hardy against the Diamonds in the Rough. This match very clearly cut short because Sabu hurts his toe, or hurts his foot. It looks like he hurts his ankle when you're watching it, and then the match ends like literally 30 seconds later. Hardy just hits a swanton and wins. So clearly Sabu got hurt in this match and they cut it short, so it was a match. He suffered a broken toe as it happened.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to complain about it being shorter.
They replayed Hardy's swanton during his entrance, which you would expect, and they also talked about how the Diamonds in the Rough, Tanae is like, the Diamonds in the Rough's confidence level must be at an all-time high after they won one single match.
Good bit.
They have won one match, and they're doing good. And wordplay, primetime was in primetime.
That's good wordplay, Garrett.
Thank you. Well, Mike Danae said it, but I'll take credit.
No, just take fucking credit for it.
Abyss hit Sabu with a Black Hole Slam after this match, after the 6-man tag. Didn't have anything Sabu related in the go home, probably because, again, he was injured, so he's probably meant to be in that main event in the Chris Sabin spot, I would guess. But he broke his toe, so no. And Abyss comes out and does the title shot stuff. So James Mitchell on the pay-per-view does a promo with Franchise and Abyss. And Mitchell is like, there is one thing Abyss fears, and it's barbed wire. And every time he says barbed wire, Abyss jumps. He's like, he doesn't even like the word.
He's just like, even the word is like, ah.
And he's like, we went through years of therapy to get him over this fear of barbed wire because he has some kind of barbed wire related trauma in his past. And he was so close. This is the promo. Like, he's like, we went to therapy. Sitting down with Dr. Stevie, I guess, to talk through his fear.
I'd be way more into this segment if Dr. Stevie was in it.
Sadly, he was still employed by WWE at that stage. So
one day.
It was like, we went to therapy, we were overcoming this trauma, and then you had to come along with your fucking barbed wire and ruin everything. Yeah. So he's like, anyway, Abyss will kill you. And then Abyss takes an egg out and crushes it in his own face to illustrate him crushing Sabu's brain. He also got the yolk all over his mask, which that mask probably smelled of yolk for the rest of the night.
That was so gross.
So then Abyss, Sabu, in a no disqualification match.
Yeah, that's awesome. It starts off with the amazing spot of like Sabu having his arm covered again, and then he just takes it off and there's nothing there.
Sabu playing mind games.
Amazing.
But that distraction does allow Sabu to do what Sabu does, which is fuck a chair at Abyss's head.
Sabu hits Abyss with a top rope Hurricane Rana, which is one of those bumps that Abyss takes. It's like, what? You're so big. Why are you taking bumps like this? You are crazy and I love you.
Because he's a crazy person.
And he always, like, the way like Abyss takes like bumps like that, he always like flips slightly to the side. Again, everything Abyss does, we've talked about this before, but like every one of his movements is unlike how you've ever seen anybody move. The way he runs and he charges is awesome. The way he takes like a bump over the ropes and always lands ass first on the apron is awesome. The way like he takes a top rope Hurricane Rana where he like does a weird bump like flip to the side over. It's like everything Abyss does is unique. He's not like any other wrestler as you watch him, and more wrestlers should be like that. They shouldn't just be doing like the same cookie cutter spots the way you see everybody else do them. When you watch Abyss, both like with his moveset and the stuff he does, but just the way he moves and just the way he bumps, it's different. You should feel different.
Well, that's the thing, is like bumping differently from everything else is from everyone else is a very easy way to stand out too, because a lot of people focus on like their mannerisms while doing stuff, but not a lot of people focus on selling differently. So you see someone who does sell like in a very different way, it stands out.
Yeah, to go to the current extreme, anytime you watch a Darby Allin match, and you see him eat shit on every single move, you're like, you are one of the most compelling wrestlers around.
I've been delving around the pervert shoot style scene a little bit lately. And Alexander Otska is someone who reminds me of that a lot. Like, when he's doing these, and he's just getting his ass kicked, and he looks like he's being ragdolled by strikes, and it's amazing.
It's one of those things people don't work on, that people should work on. That you're not just taking the same flatbacks everybody else is. You're not moving the same everybody else is. Do things differently. Feel different.
Well, that's like something you see in like Omega too, is he takes everything in a very different way than most.
Yeah, he's a weird freak.
You know, I'm thinking of people who do this, and they're all weird freaks. Because it's Abyss, it's Darby, it's Otska, it's Omega, it's Osprey. It's just a bunch of weird freaks.
Get more weird freaks in wrestling.
Preferably weird freaks about their own bodies and not weird freaks in other ways. We have enough of weird freaks in other ways.
Sabu slingshots over the ropes and leg drops Abyss through a table on the floor. He goes to use a barbed wire chair, but Mitchell hooks it with his cane and takes it away from him.
It's a good bit, even though it was kind of fucked up.
Yeah, he doesn't quite hook it. He kind of misses, but it's enough to interfere with Sabu's rhythm that you're like, okay, it just about works.
It works enough.
Abyss got his bag of tacks, he poured them out, and then hit a spinning choke slam onto Sabu into the tacks.
And it looks so good. It looks like an Uranagi.
Yeah, he just like choke slams him, turns in the air, and just like, boah. Because a regular chokeslam isn't enough. That's not going to get enough thumbtacks in your back. You have to spin them to really get that force and momentum going.
I really got Abyss really shut me the fuck up when I was criticizing his spread of his thumbtacks in this match. I was like, they're all in one area. It looks so lame. And then, like, a billion thumbtacks are in Sabu's back. And I'm like, you know what? Shut the fuck up, Liam. How about that?
Yeah, because he has a routine, which I think is a character beat as much as anything else. That when he pours...
I do too.
When he pours thumbtacks, he does do a thing where he, like, spends, like, 20 seconds, like, spreading them and making sure they're just right.
He's, like, hyper-fixated.
Yeah, and, like TNA always mentions it on commentary that, like, he gets, like, tunnel vision. That, like, when he's focused on a task, he's like, I have to put my thumbtacks out and do my thumbtacks right. I like to think he sings little songs as he does it.
The Abyss character is actually probably way more nuanced than people think.
Because he always got knocked with being like the fake Mankind or the fake Kane. And like, no, he's not.
No, he's like, there's like levels to the Abyss character. And I think it's because it's not like explicitly said to the audience that maybe wrestling fans are too stupid to pick up on it. But like, there's levels to it.
Like, he is playing the role of monster. Like, he is not just, like, big guy, you know? He's not just used to... He's actually playing the role of monster. So he's doing the little things you would expect, like, a Frankenstein monster to kind of do. Like, be weirdly fixated on how the thumbtacks work.
It's cool. I like it. Stands out.
Abyss misses a splash, lands in tacks. Sabu then springboard pushes Abyss into the tacks. He does like a springboard, and it looks like I think maybe it was meant to leg drop him, but there was too much distance. So he stopped and did like a double cross chop push to knock Abyss into the tacks.
Just awesome.
Black hole slam onto a barbed wire chair for the win, and there was a ton of blood on Sabu's back, which I'm not sure was from the tacks or was it shoot barbed wire. I'm not sure. Either way, his back looked fucked up.
And that's all that matters. The end result.
But yes, Abyss ran away, even though he won using barbed wire. He was like, ugh.
I still think the first match is better, or maybe stands out a little more. But like, they both kind of rock.
It's just two guys who are unique. Like, Sabu, again, falls into that category of a dude who is just unlike anything else you see in wrestling. He is a crazy wild man who might fuck up half his spots, but that's like half of his appeal.
I thought you were going to call him a crazy white boy. Abyss is a crazy white boy.
Abyss is the craziest of white boys. But, like, Sabu he's just the wild man. And, like, part of Sabu's appeal, like, people are like, oh, he might miss his dives. It's like, that's Sabu.
Yeah, that owns.
That's like 8%. I know, like, there was the theory that sometimes he'd fuck it up on purpose just to, like, magnify his mystique, I guess.
I think that's been, like, triple confirmed now from people. It's like to sell the danger and unpredictability of a Sabu match. Sometimes he would just eat shit.
And it's the kind of thing that's just like, if you ate shit, you just like start spreading that as a rumor. It's like, actually, I do that on purpose to really sell the character.
Because I think there was like some people that would wrestle him and said like he would call that to them. He'd be like, I'm going to do the springboard, but I'm going to fuck it up. Maybe he was just really self-detrimental.
You do have two guys who are unique, distinct, and willing to absolutely kill themselves to have a good hardcore match. So they are absolutely... And again, big man, like, Sabu's not small, but relative to Abyss, he is small. So it's like big man bumping around small man is always like a good dynamic. Just throw him with a spinning chokeslam into some thumbtacks and you have a good wrestling match. Better than 1.5 stars, Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, that's insane.
1.5. That's disrespectful.
I was Googling, because we were talking about it on the watch-along, if Abyss and Moxley ever had a match. They did, but it was a 6-man. And what a 6-man this is. On one side, John Moxley, Roger Ruffin, and Ryan Stone versus Muldoon... aka Dustin Thomas, which I've heard the name. Chris Harris.
Yeah!
And Abyss.
That's a dream match. When was that?
2007 at NWF Aggression.
It's a dream match anywhere in the world.
We're featuring other big matches like Brian Jennings versus Crybaby with Crazy Courtney.
Crybaby's finally gonna get his comeuppance. He's finally gonna be a crybaby.
And, of course, the American Eagle defeating Dr. Melvin Winkleman.
Is the American Eagle like a product placement wrestler?
I don't know.
Go buy your American Eagle jeans or whatever. I'm the American Eagle.
Wait a minute. The American Eagle, also known as Canadian Player.
He covers both. That's actually a great pro wrestling bit. They're like, in America, American Eagle. In Canada, Canadian Player.
That's amazing. Who else do we have on this card? We have Austin Midler, Ice, and Stewie Buckland defeating the Warlock and the Zodiacs.
So many wrestling names.
We have Christopher Michael Lotus going to a no contest for the NWF Unified title against Benjamin Kimura.
So many names.
Ingy and the Thugs, Nasty Russ and T-Money defeated the Hippies, Jesse Hyde and Pompano Joe.
Again, names everywhere. We're doing names all over the place.
Chad Allegra defeats Anthony Bryant.
Chad Allegra is
Carl
Anderson, yeah. I was like, I know that name.
That's Chad Too Bad. Wow, what a show.
A young Carl Anderson and a young John Moxley with Chris Harris and Abyss on top.
Imagine if it was Moxley and Chad Allegra
against Harris and
Abyss and Chris Harris.
Tremendous match. They didn't know what they had in that. Where was that indie? I'm gonna guess it's Kentucky indie.
It was Ohio. NWF. It's Moxley in 2007. You think he's getting far out of Ohio?
Kentucky is not very far out of Ohio.
Ohio. What do you think? What's the last Carl Anderson match that you remember?
That I remember?
Yeah.
The G1 I saw final in 2012.
It's the most recent one.
That's the last one. I'm like, it's a good Carl Anderson match, huh?
Oh, I never said good.
I don't know. I'm kind of sad that Carl seemed to just give up.
But he just wrestled on the WWE Super Show.
Like, in fairness, he gave up because he's making more money than he's ever made, so he doesn't need to try. So all power to him, but it's a shame.
Seems to be like only doing live shows.
Yeah, they're doing, because like they're on TV, because like they were only doing live events while AJ was injured, and now AJ is back, and they're still doing the OC. Is that the name of their stable?
Yeah,
with Mia Yim as well. Like they're still on TV, but they're not.
They're
wrestling.
not on TV. Yeah, like their last TV match was about a month ago.
Because I know they were in a backstage segment with AJ recently when he was being like, I'm going to wrestle Solo Sikoa, and then they were there being like, you shouldn't do that. But it's like, I'm going to do it. AJ Styles, house that I built.
And now that AJ's doing like we gotta get our shit together, the OC.
So you can do a big OC against Bloodline and or the other one, Judgment Day feud.
I think they're doing all of them against each other right now.
honestly could do worse things than Stable Wars.
Yeah, but the OC is just the shitest shite.
That's Mia Yim. Mia Yim would have a good match with Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, you know what? But the Bloodline doesn't have anyone that they can throw into that.
Sexist women. No, sexist Bloodline. God damn it.
Yeah, what, Bloodline, they don't have The Rock's shitty daughter.
Get her up. Call her up.
Or Tamina.
Yeah, Kevin Owens would be so happy.
Yeah, why doesn't the Bloodline have any female representation?
It's a good question.
That's kind of fucked up.
So the only other heavyweight-ish feud is Raven. Raven's banging around. He hates Larry Zbyszko.
I'm sure Raven's banging around.
Well, that's the entire point of the story, that he's found a woman and everyone's like, you've gone soft.
And he's like, brother, I haven't gotten soft, let me tell you.
Oh, God. October 29th
Hey,
Impact.
yo.
The franchise has
Hey,
Raven.
yo,
He wants
it's
to know
me,
how
Raven.
feels about all the recent title happenings. Cassidy Riley
Hey,
comes in. It's
yo.
like, Raven, what the fuck happened to you? You're a bitch. It's like, has she made you soft?
And Raven's like, yeah, yo. Raven's turned into Johnny Polo.
Raven backhands him and leaves. So even Cassidy Riley is calling out Raven's softness.
Dick jokes.
Primetime special. Franchise has Rhino. He proved that he has the heart of a champion. But then Raven walks up and is like, where's my title shot? Larry Z stopped me from getting that shot. And then security drags him away as Rhino then is like, I'm wrestling in the main event. Sorry, Raven.
I don't think Raven's wrestled in like 10 months.
Well, yeah. Since he defended the title at Unbreakable, he has not wrestled on TV.
What's going on?
He wrestles in the pay-per-view, so...
But like, what's going on?
Shiny new toy. We have Rhino, we have Christian, we don't need Raven.
Yeah, but like, can we do that with like Jarrett?
No, because he owns the company. So franchise has Raven and Larry on the Go Home show, and Larry's like, here is your release. If you want, you can leave. Or if you don't, I'm going to make your life miserable.
Tony Khan should have done that with Punk on TV.
Raven's like, no, fuck you.
Punk's like, no, fuck you. Then lunges at him.
There is a lot of lunging at Larry in this. So, like, this segment does end with Raven lunging at Larry and screaming, I'll kill you.
What did he know?
And Raven was like a mentor to Punk, so...
What did he know?
Raven has a great knock-knock joke here where he says, knock knock, who's there? Blood. Blood who? Blood gushing out of the scarlet crater where your arm used to be, Zbyszko.
Haha.
Got him.
That's funny.
So,
Bit wordy. You should have just been like, hey, I'm hard.
God damn it.
This is my new favorite Raven gimmick.
Larry books Raven in a match against a mystery opponent at the pay-per-view. And that mystery opponent turns out to be just incredible, PJ Polacco.
Okay.
You sound very enthusiastic.
Fucking hate PJ Polacco.
Not a very good match. So yeah, before the match, Tenay suggests Raven opening the show as a sign of disrespect to Raven, as opposed to like AEW where people politic to get the opener because that's when the crowd are hot. So Larry offered Raven before the match the choice again. You can leave, and you don't have to wrestle tonight, and you'll never be here again, or you can face my mystery opponent. And Raven is once again like, fuck you, I'll face your mystery opponent.
I'll do whatever you don't want me to do, Dad.
I do like the way I use the word lunge in the notes. It's like, I didn't even mean that. Yeah, Larry throws shade at Raven's new girlfriend to get what causes Raven to lunge at him.
And knock over a bunch of production equipment.
Yeah, he took out Dixie with that, actually, and he's been fine. I've never felt for my life more.
Then someone in the crowd goes, you fucking pussy.
The match is weird in that I think Raven has discovered MMA.
He's been flirting with it.
But there's a bunch of stuff where he starts trying like to do takedowns. He does like grapple front face locks into takedowns. He's doing knees.
Oh my god, Raven is Punk.
And he does like a spinning back fist. And he does like, he's always done the ankle lock. Like the ankle lock has been his like submission thing. But there's a bunch of stuff in this where he's doing like MMA ground and pound and like grapples. It's like, did you start watching MMA, Raven? Is this what's happened here?
Oh, he's on the same network now.
That's true. It's good synergy. He wins with the Raven effect and stares down Larry Z. It's a replacement level match that you will not think about again in your life.
I'd say it's worse than that.
It might be being kind to PJ Polacco and Raven's MMA. That brings us over to the X Division, where the X Division title feud for the month is AJ Styles and Petey Williams. So Petey Williams won the Ultimate X match at Bound for Glory in suspicious circumstances, suspicious being the X fell into his hands.
In the coolest ending ever. Fuck you, Dave Meltzer, again. Maybe Dave Meltzer was just never fair to TNA. Should we start like that part of the podcast now?
There are people who do push that as a narrative, and I think he's probably historically harsher on TNA than he needs to be, but then there's also long stretches where TNA is really bad. So...
But like at this point, like he's just shitting on the good things
yeah,
too.
and like he's he's not a good critic. I think that's what it always comes back to with Dave. That the thing people always criticize him for is the thing he is really bad at. And it's like, the fact that he's the premier wrestling critic is just by default, just by being around for as long as he has been, that he has become, but like, he has never had interesting thoughts about wrestling. That's never been him. He's never been a guy who I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear Dave Meltzer break that down. You know, he's never been that guy. He writes a wall of text to describe the moves and puts a star rating on it, and then people go crazy over his opinions. Like, he's never had an interesting. That I don't want to put it that way. He's never had an interest. He's never
had an interesting thought.
He's never expressed his thoughts interestingly about wrestling. That's just never been him.
Well, he doesn't like rate it as a creative endeavor. He's like the equivalent of the 2K games, where it's like the more moves you do, the higher the star goes up.
So, the October 29th Impact, we have a tag team match. AJ Styles and Sanjay Dutt versus Alex Shelley and Roderick Strong. I like this match a lot. I thought they went out there and worked a real good TV match. There's a better match the next week, but I do like the little continuity. I'm not sure is it deliberate, but like, of the people that Styles chose to face Daniels, there was Shark Boy and there was Sanjay, and now he's teaming with Sanjay. So I feel like there's a little bit of continuity there. He's like teamed with his pal.
Well, because Sanjay's also like one of the only pure babyface X Division guys other than AJ.
Yeah, there's him, AJ, and Saban. Really, there's a lot, and then there's a lot of heels, which I guess makes sense when you have a babyface champion, but maybe when you don't.
I mean, you look at the X match at the pay-per-view. You have Aries and Bentley on the same team as Saban and Sanjay.
And like, Aries is meant to be a babyface, but he's also Austin Aries.
Yeah, like he's like, but like Matt Bentley is very clearly still a.
So D'Amore joined commentary to complain about the fact that the Ultimate X is being done over because the rematch will be done on the primetime special. And he's like, we want fair and square. Roddy did a dropkick and then did AJ's taunt, so AJ spat in his face.
Which is awesome, actually.
Finish Styles pin Strong with the Styles Clash. A really good tag. I like this a lot. But there's a better match that we'll talk about when we're talking about Elimination X. Elevation X is something very different.
Should be Elevation X. I fucking love Elevation X. It's so dumb.
An 8-man scaffold match. An 8-man elimination scaffold match.
So you have to throw 7 people off the scaffold.
Yeah, last man standing. So they redo Ultimate X on the primetime special. Petey Williams, Chris Sabin, Matt Bentley again. Petey Williams wins again.
I fell asleep.
It got a little fire display, though. They set off some fire for Ultimate X. Petey started chasing Tracy up the Ultimate X structure, but Bentley clotheslines him.
That was a fun bit.
I love Petey's weird obsession bordering on creepiness with Tracy Brooks.
Hall of Famer Tracy Brooks.
Yeah. That's an Impact 1000 spoiler, Liam.
It's going to be out after Impact 1000?
Well, it was taped last night. But
I know, but I'm saying, like, it'll be out after...
Either way, you've spoiled the show. Everyone's going to be mad at you.
Oh, no one's going to watch it now. It's all my fault.
PD powerbombs Bentley from the cables, and then the X started dangling from one thing again. It started falling. It was like, not again! No!
It would have been perfect if it fell and he caught it again.
Oh, if they actually did it like they manipulated it this time somehow with magnets. It's actually the magnet at the core of the Earth that keeps everybody that instills gravity. It pulls the X down.
See, it's even fucking that up.
Bentley kicks Petey from the cables into a Petey Rana on Saban. Matt Bentley throws such a good super kick. I've discovered this.
It is great. And like, you know, legally he has to.
It's genetic. It runs in the family. But there's a bunch of super kicks. He hits one on Elimination X as well that is just perfectly timed. It's like, it's not the connection of the kick, it's like the timing of the kick. It's like whenever he does like a sequence that is punctuated by him hitting the super kick, like the timing of that super kick is always perfect. So D'Amore tries to interfere, but Tracy spears him. Both Petey and Bentley are dangling, but Petey kicks Bentley in the balls and wins. And the Morphoplex move of the night is the Canadian Destroyer, getting that $200,000. So Petey will once again officially challenge AJ Styles at Genesis for the X Division title after he's won 2 Ultimate X matches to earn the honor.
That's a hell of a build for someone, like a hell of a mini push to have them win 2 Ultimate X's.
That's what you get when you have equipment malfunctions, I guess. So then the main event of the Go Home show, actually it wasn't the main event, it was just a match on the Go Home show. It was a Styles Clash versus Canadian Destroyer match in which Petey Williams faced AJ Styles non-title. The winner would be the person who hit the Styles Clash or the Canadian Destroyer. To which I have like the question, if you are AJ or Petey, if you hit the other guy's move in this match, do you still win?
I think you have to hit your one specifically.
That would be a great finish, though, whereas like PD wins by hitting the Styles Clash.
Oh, that'd be a great match. That should be a great match in general. You have to hit your opponent's finish. Or like you do like a 10-man elimination, and the only way to be eliminated is to have someone hit your move on you.
What do you think about this as like an idea in general, like a finisher challenge match?
I like finisher challenge matches. I think they're fun.
Like, you can only really do it with two guys who have distinct finishers, like Styles and PD do.
It'd be really funny if it was like you're doing it like, I don't know, random thing. It's like Omega versus Danielson, and Danielson just gets to do the label lock.
Or like the Psycho knee, which is very easy to hit quickly.
Versus the 1 Week Angel.
Or you do like Edge versus Roman Reigns in a spear match. Who can hit their mediocre spear first and win?
You have to hit the other person's mediocre spear and win. Roman has to do the hug.
So it only really works when you have people who have like distinct finishers, like the Styles Clash and the Canadian Destroyer. But it's a cool thing to do.
What if AJ hit the spiral tap in this match?
No, but you see, it is a Styles Clash versus Destroyer. They didn't just say finisher. They did expressly say Styles Clash versus Canadian Destroyer match, which is, to my question, is like, if you hit the other guy's move, do you still win? Because like, it is a Styles Clash versus Canadian Destroyer match, but it's a fun idea, because like, obviously the aim of this is they wanted a way to give PD like a one-up on AJ without beating AJ. So the way to do that, they came up with this cool idea, you know, if you hit the finisher, you win. The match was actually fine. It wasn't a great advert for the pay-per-view in that the match was actually nothing special in the end. My favorite part is Mike Tenay starts talking about how people have TiVo'd the Canadian Destroyer, or recorded it, just so that they can rewatch it. And I'm like, oh, the world before there was GIFs.
New Japan now.
Gonna copyright us just for saying that. Every time AJ hits a cool move and he does his like big pump up firearm, pump his chest, look super jacked, he's super into it. It's the best. He's so good.
AJ is on one at the moment.
Yeah, like anytime he does his dive or anytime he does his drop kick, he's just like, it is the adrenaline is clearly pumping through his veins, and he's like just so pumped up. Styles goes for the clash, where PD grabs Andrew Thomas's leg. Styles then pulls for the Styles clash so hard that Andrew Thomas is sent flying.
Because he's so amped up, he's so jacked.
D'Amore gets in the ring and tries to hit Styles with the belt, but Styles got D'Amore set up in the Styles clash.
Wait a minute. If AJ hit the Styles clash on D'Amore, would it have counted?
It is a Styles clash versus Canadian
It
Destroyer
did hit a
match.
Styles clash. It never says Styles clash on PD Williams.
You would have to look into the terms of the match, but I do believe if he hit it on D'Amore, he would have won the match.
If he had have run outside and hit it on Don West, would it have counted?
No, that's a disqualification. Come on.
Why?
Because it's Don.
Fine, Mike.
It's like reverse Dup Cup rules. Whereas you got points on attacking JB. You get DQ'd for attacking Don.
Okay, fair enough. What if he did the Styles clash to JB?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, that's a win?
Ideally through a table. You get bonus points for the table.
Ooh.
There should be like a running Dup Cup tally.
Oh, the lineal Dup Cup champion.
It should just be a board next to the announce desk that they never acknowledge, but there's just points being accrued based on the Dup Cup criteria, and they just update it constantly.
If you had to put money on it, who do you think would be the current Dup Cup leader in 2023?
Based on the Dup Cup rules, or like on a lineal fashion?
And the rules.
Honestly, it's probably somebody in AEW, because I feel like the Stampede and Anarchy in the Arena matches would very much tick a lot of Dup Cup boxes.
It's probably like one of the best friends.
Who attacks JB in NXT a lot?
The fans.
Congratulations to... Oh no, it's not Full Sail University anymore. It's the Performance Center, isn't it? So congratulations to the WWE Performance Center on winning the Dup Cup.
That seems about right.
PD hits Styles with the belt, hits the Canadian Destroyer. He beats AJ Styles in the Styles Clash versus Canadian Destroyer match to have one up on AJ heading into their pay-per-view match, which was pretty good.
But not great.
Yeah, because they had the match at Victory Road last year, which was like a 9-minute sprint, which I thought was ultimately a lot better. Whereas this is like the full 18-minute exhibition title match between these two. And it was pretty good.
It was fine.
The obvious highlight, first AJ hits a flip dive where he lands ass first on the rail.
That's the coolest part, is AJ dying.
Yeah, which is bad enough. But then PD Williams does a thing that you see teased in wrestling matches all the time. Like, I can't even think about the number of times you've seen somebody tease the idea of a German suplex off the apron. Understandably, people very rarely actually do it, because that bump would suck.
Of course.
Here, PD teases the German suplex off the apron, and instead, German suplexes AJ Styles back first onto the guardrail.
It's such a dumb bump.
He just died. He's just dead. His back is broken. He never wrestled again. It's all over for AJ Styles. This was it.
But no, because AJ is a weird Gumby man.
I don't understand how he works. He just keeps going. Like, this should kill him, man. He is German suplex. He should be impaled on that rail. He should have also lost his ass on the dive, literally, and then lost his back. I think, like, the way they set this up. So A1 clears out the crowd, and A1's standing in like the crowd. So I think what they're meant to do is PD is meant to German suplex AJ from the apron over the rail into like the first couple of rows where A1 catches him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a reasonable spot.
Again, crazy as it, like, that's a stupid spot. And even to think it's like, German off the apron, we're going to clear the rail, everything will be fine. Even to think that, stupid. But the way it works out that he does not clear the rail, he just lands back first on the rail.
I think it's because, like, PD goes too low. Like, he, like, drops his hips too low.
And it might just be the thing that, like, PD, like, I don't know how he does that to clear the rail, because, like, I think he's shorter than AJ.
And also PD has to be aware that he's jumping backwards and not to slam his own head in the back of the into the guardrail. So it's like he was probably trying to protect himself, which like put him at a lower angle, which then just drove AJ's shoulder first into it.
I actually think A1 felt being like, all right, I'm going to catch AJ. Okay, oh no.
No, he's a worker, so he jumped over there and kicked him a couple times to get escorted out like he was meant to.
Yeah, he got booted for that. PD took a flip bump on the forearm. Joe came out and watched on from the ramp as Styles hit a middle rope Styles clash for the win and stared down Samoa Joe, who we will talk about more in a moment. Good match. It's only really notable for that rail bump because that rail bump is actually insane.
Yeah, just the couple big AJ bumps in this match, really, which you can see on our Twitter, so you don't even have to watch the full match.
Yeah. So the other big thing in the X Division was a bunch of X Division matches leading to Elimination X. So the tag match I talked about earlier, the Styles and Sanjay against Shelley and Strong match was kind of building toward that. On that same show, there was a Christopher Daniels versus Jarrell Clark kind of squash. Not a full squash, but a kind of squash.
A competitive squash.
The idea is like Daniels might be a little unhinged because he lost the Iron Man match. He lost his rematch, so it might almost speculate about what his psyche might be. But Clark misses a moonsault. Daniels falls with an Angel's Wings for the win. Which takes us to the primetime special, in which Alex Shelley, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels defeated AJ Styles, Austin Aries, and Sanjay.
This match is awesome. It's like an ROH, PWG, Dragon Gate, whatever you want to call it, 6-man, where they're doing a million things, everyone's bumping around and dying, and like you're about to say, the talent, and it is wild.
Boy, like, Alex Shelley, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels versus AJ Aries and Dot. Like, this how you think about WWE during this era and think about the talent they could have had access to, and then you see a match like this. It's just like, this is just a mid-card X Division match. It's like WWE had fucking Rob Conway on TV all the time.
Con man.
No, we don't want any of this. We need Heidenreich. We need Luther Reigns. We need all these guys. It's like, this is what was out there.
Because they're big.
Good lord. And even TNA weren't like making the fullest access. They were during this period, thankfully, though we don't have a ton of Aries and Strong. We only have a little bit of Aries and Strong. But man, just the names of the match.
I love the like entrance of this when like, because Shelley, Joe, and Daniels are all wearing matching blue gear. But like, Shelley is like scared of Joe in the entrance, and he does his pose, but then he's like, make sure to get out of the way of Joe.
Daniel should have been more scared of Joe, as it turns out.
I liked the like the three heels were all kind of like iffy on each other.
So like the main story of the match, aside from the moves, is that like Daniels and Joe are not getting along. So like Joe's going for the face wash. He does the first few of them, and then Daniels just blind tags himself in before he can actually do the proper face wash. Joe then angrily tags back into face off with AJ. Every time AJ and Joe do anything in this era, it's like, oh, those two wrestlers have been tailor-made for each other from the ground up.
This is what Daniels is really good at, is you get him in these kind of matches where he tells very subtle stories, and you're like, ooh, what's gonna happen from it? And then obviously it pays off for something more blatant and bigger, but like just little bits during the match which are like easy to miss sometimes.
There's like, as I said, there's more obvious ones where it's like, oh, Daniels accidentally hits Joe with a high knee, and Joe accidentally clotheslines Daniels, which is a lot less subtle, not a little less subtle, but like, yeah, the little thing where it's like Joe is doing the face wash, a very obvious Joe move, and he does the first few, rake the boot across the faces, and then Daniels just tags himself in. It's like, that kind of obliviousness is great.
And Daniels is also really good at like selling like the attitude of like it wasn't intentional, you know? That like he was just doing his regular match stuff. Like it wasn't him taking a shot. It was just him wanting to do whatever, you know? Like it was him trying to win the match in his own way.
So Styles shoved Daniels into Joe, won with the Styles Clash on Shelley. This match is so good. It's just a million moves. It's 9 minutes, I want to say, and they just condense everything into that 9 minutes, and it's just unbelievable with the level of talent in it. And as I said, it's not just moves. You do get, the Daniels and Joe story weaves in and then comes out of it. Also, when the match started, there was a handful of fans who started chanting ROH.
Yeah, well, fair.
Big ROH fans in the Impact Zone. But yeah, this match rocks. This match, I think, is one of the more underrated TV matches in Impact history, in the 1,000 episodes of Impact. It's a shame that Aries, during this phase, obviously there's Ring of Honor stuff that he falls out and then comes back as Austin Starr, which absolutely stinks.
It's just like, why?
But like Aries during this phase, anytime he's on TV, like he hits a crucifix bomb on Joe, he looks like he's just so explosive. He's really good for TV wrestling in particular, because like all of his stuff has snap, all of his stuff has explosion. Like his brainbuster is 450, his drop kicks in the corner, crucifix
all
bomb.
of his stuff has impact.
Yeah, ooh, puns. But I think he's really, really well made for TV wrestling in particular. And well, so is Roddy, but Roddy doesn't get as much a chance to show it during this period. But anytime like Austin Aries is on TV, he pops, and it's a shame there wasn't more Aries coming out of this. And then when he came back, he was a doofy idiot, which is stupid.
He gets there eventually.
He does get there eventually. Joe faces Aries on the go home show.
Which is fun. It's just a fun, cool little TV match.
In which it's announced at the pay-per-view it will be an Elimination X match. So it's Joe, Daniels, Shelley, and Strong against Sabin, Dutt, Bentley, and Aries in an Elimination X match at the pay-per-view. It's an 8-man tag team elimination match. So Daniels is on commentary, and he's officially dubbed his team The Ministry, and he has appointed himself captain, which I'm sure Samoa Joe will be greatly pleased with.
Yeah.
He will not have a problem with that at
Samoa
all.
Joe, notorious guy, happy taking a back seat.
He loves Christopher Daniels. He's going to follow Christopher Daniels' leadership, no problem.
The Ministry, by the way.
Big Ring of Honor sickos. I'm sorry, it's Team Ministry as opposed to the Ministry. Just to
Ministry of Darkness.
Joe beats Aries with the Muscle Buster. Every time Aries hits the crucifix bomb on Joe, it rocks because it's Joe.
Because Samoa Joe's a big ass man dropping on his big ass head.
Good. That does bring us to the match itself on the pay-per-view, which is an 8-man tag team elimination match. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this match.
Yeah, recap this one.
I thought the TV match was better than this by a decent margin, but it's these guys in the ring. You add Strong. You took AJ out. That's the difference maker, you see. You added Matt Bentley.
Nice of you not to bury Roderick Strong.
Dutt does one too many revolutions in the Round the World Rana, and he just fell off. He just fell off the Round the World Rana. He was doing it on, I think, Roddy, and he just like boop dropped to the mat. Heat on Dutt before a hot tag to Aries. Sabin, Dutt, and Aries did stereo dives. You don't get stereo dives enough anymore.
I think you still do a lot.
You get a lot of dive sequences where like you get one dive after another, but these dudes hit like Aries did the low dive and Sabin and Shelley did over the top dives, and they did them simultaneously, and that's cool. More people should do simultaneous dives.
I think it still happens quite a lot.
Name one instance.
All in Elite 6-man tag.
Damn. I was live at that show too.
But you weren't watching.
That's true. I was busy sending TNA tweets. Aries eliminates Strong with the Brainbuster and 450. Daniels then eliminated Aries with a roll-up. Shelley submits Dutt with the Border City Stretch. Bentley then catches Shelley with a super kick for the elimination. Perfectly timed. He's really good at that. Bentley goes into a victory roll position on Daniels, but Joe plucks him off of Daniels' shoulders for the Muscle Buster and eliminates him with the King of Clutch, which is a cool setup for the Muscle Buster. And then the big dramatic finish. Joe goes to Muscle Buster Sabin, but Bentley, who was eliminated, grabbed Joe's leg from the floor and pulls him out. And Daniels, just as you said earlier, not like stealing the win or anything. Because Joe's been pulled out, he just steps in, hits the Angel's wings on Sabin, and wins. Daniels and Joe are your survivors. They win that elimination match 2-0, I guess.
And Joe's so pissy.
And because unlike the TV match where they do like a bunch of spots where they don't get along, like they did get along in this. There wasn't like periods in this. Yeah. They got along. Everything was fine. They won.
Because they already established that there's like tension. They didn't need to re-establish it again.
And they did do a backstage promo before this where franchise had Daniel, Shelley, and Strong, and Shelley was like, "We seem to be missing a person here, Chris."
Shelley poking the bear.
Yeah, Daniel's like, "It's fine. Everything will be fine. We'll lead our ministry team to success. It's going to be good. Joe knows what we're doing. We're on the same page." So Daniels beats Sabin doesn't steal the win, but Joe was going to win and Daniels just followed up to score the win. Joe is not pleased. Joe is very, very mad. So Daniels tries to talk him down. He's like, God, we won the match. Everything's fine. And then Joe beats the living shit out of Christopher Daniels. Mm-hmm. Joe smashes Daniels in the skull with a chair, which causes Daniels to bleed. Joe then kicks his head into the rail, hits a muscle buster, and it's awesome. As he's holding him in the muscle buster on the shoulder, Daniels' blood starts dripping down Joe's like shoulder and like breast area. So cool.
Breast area?
Yeah, your breast. Your
Why did you say breast instead of chest?
But, it's a particular, like, your breastbone.
Fucking perfect.
Wow. You make everything sex with you, isn't it? First it's Raven.
Breast area? What are we doing?
It is an area of your chest. Lee was like, do men have breasts?
Like, literally, what subject do men have breasts?
Yeah, you have a breastbone.
Okay.
Bound for Glory was the cum episode, and this is the Liam is horny episode.
But this is the opposite of horny.
No, it's fine.
You're the one who said blood dripped down onto his voluptuous breast.
Yeah. Would you prefer me to say
Get
pep?
the fuck out of here.
I also don't think it's technically the breastbone, but I think I'm scientifically wrong, but
And morally.
ethically as well.
Fucking, yeah. This is like one of the cool, like, here's the blood towel. This is what we're fucking talking
Yeah,
about.
Daniels bleeds on Joe's boobie and then gets hit with a muscle buster. And then he hits another muscle buster on a chair and rubs the blood onto his towel, puts it over his shoulder and stands there. AJ does come out and starts watching on, concerned from the ramp.
It's really funny that AJ's like, whoa, it's a little much. Even for hated rival Christopher Daniels.
Yeah, AJ never tried to kill Daniels. He did just try to beat Daniels.
He's like, whoa, man, taking it a bit far.
EMTs tend to Daniels. They struggle very badly to get a stretcher in a ring.
Yeah.
Because they do a bit where they try to like carry it over the top rope and they're like, no, that's not going to work. And then they're like, let's just roll Daniels onto it. And they don't like strap him to it or anything, which I think is bad paramedic practice. So yeah, Don West goes and gets an update. Daniels is taken away by ambulance as Don's like, hey, you okay? Is he dead?
Yes, is the answer.
Has he bled out in a man's breast?
Stop saying it.
So yeah, that's the big this is a great angle that may not have worked because the crowd were like, fuck yeah, beat the shit out of Christopher Daniels. Because like from like a very traditional wrestling angle, I think they did everything right. Mm-hmm. They gave it a ton of time. Like I think the post match was like 8 minutes long. It wasn't the case where he did the turn and they cut away, or they didn't like stay on Daniels after he got the shit kicked out of him. They did all of like the little things you're supposed to do right here, other than the fact that the crowd were very into the fact that Samoa Joe was beating the shit out of Christopher Daniels.
I think that comes from it being heel.
I was going to say, I think it's a lot more, Joe's just too cool for his own good.
Yeah, but if he was doing it to Shark Boy.
Or, like, I think he'd get heat if he did it to AJ.
Yeah.
And I guess you didn't really get the sympathy you might have wanted on Daniels.
Yeah, because Daniels is like a historic bastard.
Yeah, he is a mean man. He, like the idea is he's meant to be wronged here, and like he will do the comeback and it'll be fine. And they'll have one of the best TV matches in Impact history in April. You can look forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that.
Because their pay-per-view match is only like decent, and then they have that TV match which is fucking awesome. But yeah, like good angle, really well executed, good match. Naturally leads us into AJ and Joe next month. They may have a good.
You also get the AJ talking about it segment.
Oh yeah, before the PD match, he's like, there's a code in the X division, and he broke that code.
An unwritten code of respect. He's getting more like hick every time. A code of honor.
Some might say it is a code of honor, but we don't use that word around here.
It's a fight without honor.
No, it's an insanity in the. What was the thing?
It was insanity in the soundstage.
We're going to insanity in the soundstage. We have a lot of sanity around here. We need some insanity.
It was an obstruction of justice in Orlando.
There's a lot of those, I think, in Florida, as a general rule.
Yeah, it was a. Shut up! I can do one more. Shut up! It was incarceration in the Impact Zone.
Undertaking in Universal.
Ooh, that's very good. I'm still thinking. I remember the one from the watch along now, which was a fracas in Florida.
Fracas in Florida is a pretty good one.
That's a pretty good one.
That feels like that would have been like a 1986 NWA show.
Fracas in Florida?
Yeah, big Dusty Rhodes main event in the Fracas in Florida.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That's like, it reminds me of, I absolutely adored Quake at the Lake. When AEW did that one for like, what was that? Was that Brody King, Darby Allin? I fucking loved Quake at the Lake.
Quake at the Lake. What was the Jericho and Mox one? That had a name too, didn't
I think, was that Quake at the Lake as well?
Might have been.
Quake by the Lake, first of all.
Of course. That's like in Long Island versus on Long Island. You're by the lake. You're not in the lake.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota. Oh my god, the main event got 4 3/4 stars
from Dave Meltzer, and yet he didn't give Sabu anything. What a cunt.
What a bitch is. It was Darby and Brody in the coffin match, but it was also Moxley and Jericho.
Oh, it was both.
Yeah, it was Jade Cargill versus Madison Rayne.
Whoa.
Ricky Starks versus Aaron Solo.
Dream match.
Luchasaurus versus Anthony Henry.
Why?
And a match I actually think kind of rocks. Andrade and Rush versus the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, that's a good match.
I remember I rewatched that show a couple of times actually because I was like, that's a good ass show.
But speaking of things you wouldn't want to rewatch, you know what time it is.
Beware.
It's time to round the show
They're coming
out
for you.
with 3LK family drama.
It's the end of the show with the 3 live crew.
This mother is a bad girl.
Beware.
The October 29 Impact, we already talked about this match, but it was the 3LK against AMW match where Kip and Conan argued after, so they're mad at each other. It's very unlike them, but they're mad at each other. So later in that show, 3LK are in Larry's office and they want to finish it with Team Canada. Kip comes in, Larry booked a rematch between 3LK and Team Canada at Genesis, but Kip has a suggestion. He's gonna pitch it, he's gonna be special referee, and Conan's like, fuck no, you suck.
Hell yeah, Conan.
But then Kip is like, I could have killed you with that chair at Bound for Glory, but I didn't. And then Conan called him a bitch and had to be dragged away.
It's always nice.
I love Conan. He is angry and he is us.
He is us.
Wrestling fans are racist. His famous line.
Yeah. Wasn't he like racist recently?
He did say something. I can't even remember what it was, but he did say something.
Something about like Takeshita?
That was a little bit problematic, but
yeah.
Listen, he is a wrestling fan, so he is only speaking the truth. Wrestling fans are racist.
I don't think he's a fan.
November 12th Impact, Kip James faced Lex Lovett.
Sorry, I'm just noticing.
Oh, I hadn't noticed. Yes. So there was a video on this show at the November 12th Impact for Elimination X that was set to a song called Me Again, but they didn't give any details about the band. So I was like, Me Again is a pretty like bland title. There's probably a lot of songs called Me Again, but I'm going to find this one.
Could be 12 Fuzzy songs.
So I typed Me Again into Spotify, and the 64th option when you search it in Spotify was Me Again by a band called Seven System.
Yeah. I'm going to click this link.
Their website was last updated in 2017. When you look through the website, one of the very few stories that are there is that they have been featured on TNA television. Not even for this instance, for one in 2006.
If you're a fan of wrestling and a fan of Seven System, check it out.
I don't think there's many people in that crossover because I don't think there's anybody who's a fan of Seven System.
I can still buy stuff on their store.
Would you like to buy a Seven System t-shirt?
No, Garrett, can you buy me a Seven System signed glossy?
Maybe. Let me take a look at their store. Let's see what's going on here.
It's $2.
You can get the CD combo pack for Altered State and Hope Arises.
Yeah, let's have a look at their tour dates.
They don't have any.
No upcoming shows.
I was very disappointed. I was like, I'm going to go see this random band who had a song on Impact once.
Let's go to their contact form.
Dear Seven System,
Liam,
we are a TNA history podcast.
Liam Jones, we don't have a War Games pod email. I'll give him my phone number.
No, don't give all your details to Seven System.
Which plan are you interested in? What the fuck does that mean?
I think you're signing up for Scientology.
Not again.
Oh, comments. Can I click?
Fool me once.
So in October 2010, E. Bush left a comment on lyrics for one of the songs. E. Bush says, "This is a great blessing. May Hashem bless you and all you are doing. Keep on rocking the message of the Messiah."
Are they like a Jesus band? No, I want to look at what admin.
Luke says, you guys should seriously get back together. Your music rocks.
All right. You guys have an awesome sound. I found you in December 2006 listening to WTXR 89.7 Toccoa Falls College Radio, located in northeast Georgia. The song I loved was Overwhelmed. I didn't know who the artist was for months. Finally found out who the artist was and fell in love with Seven System. I purchased both CDs, Altered State and Hope Arises. If there are more CDs, open bracket, Works of Wonder, close bracket, somebody let me know. Maybe Seven System is working on a new album. That would be awesome. If the name has changed, I would like to know that too. This band needs to keep producing. We need more of you. To which admin responded, unfortunately, Seven System has been active for over a year now. No plans for new music in the future. Thanks for the comment.
How much of a bummer must it be to discover this one band who's suddenly become your favorite band, and then you're like, they're gone and they're never coming back, and they reply to your message 2 months later saying, we're gone and never coming back?
Yeah. Well, probably from someone who responded to a post from 2006. They are a Jesus band.
Oh.
They were on Christian Music Weekly.
They are plugging that you can find their music on your local Christian radio
Oh,
stations.
the Waiting Bedroom
They
Jam.
seem very angry.
Wait, this is a 2022 post for Seven System. What?
The most recent one I see is 2017. Where have you found the post?
From Lump Dog.
I
He
love
posted the Waiting Bedroom Jam 2022. Fight Conformity. Betrayed.
So yeah, their music seems to be featured a bunch on TNA because there's a few posts about it into like 2006. So we'll be hearing more of Seven System.
Are you going to buy the signed glossy?
It is $2. I wonder if I did buy that, would it
Yeah.
actually get to
Can
me?
we do a giveaway on the Patreon?
We'll give you a Seven System signed glossy.
We're a Seven System signed glossy, and we'll also sign it.
TNA Wrestling's favorite band, Seven System.
It just has our two signatures on the bottom.
We'll slap a little "You've Got to Be Kidding Me" sticker on there.
Garrett, can you buy it and then you do my signature too?
Okay.
And we'll give it away to one lucky Patreon subscriber.
I'm not going to give these people my details, but if I can buy this through PayPal, I'm going to buy
Yeah,
it.
it's even get it through PayPal.
I need to give them all my details first. Nope, fuck off. Sorry.
Boo. We should do a giveaway of some stupid shit at some point. You still got those Garrett Bischoff 8x10s I bought you?
I do think I do still have those Garrett Bischoff 8x10s.
Should we do a Garrett Bischoff 8x10 giveaway?
I'll have to double check.
And you can sign it. Garrett Bischoff 8x10 signed by Garrett Kidney. Coming soon to the Patreon.
I like this. Like, it's my personal Garrett Bischoff 8x10 that was gifted to me by you, and thus I've signed.
I think I bought you like 5.
I think you got me a Tigre Uno mask at one stage too.
Yeah, but I think I specifically ordered like 10 Garrett Bischoff 8x10.
Kip James and Lex Lovett.
Yeah, whatever. Who gives a shit?
Oh, they have this like circular pole thing hanging from the ceiling now that has like rotating logos on it.
Oh, that's cool. I like it.
I don't think it lasts very long, but I'm like, yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, I first noticed that on the primetime show.
So Lovett does a very funny looking moonsault elbow in the corner that Kip James then takes an equally funny looking bump for because he should not be taking any bumps for Lex Lovett. Wins with the one and only. Canadians come out. BG and Killings makes the save. Conan walks down the ramp and throws a shoe at Ewa. Shirt?
He fucks a shoe
He
at
does
him.
fuck a shoe. James Storm's fucking bottles. Sabu is fucking chairs. It's Conan's fucking shoes. There's
For some reason, specifically, he fucked a shoe at him. Really made me laugh.
throws a shoe at EY but doesn't join BG, Ron, and Kip in the ring.
This is unhinged now.
At some stage, it's made a pole match, but I don't remember where. Oh no, before this match, yeah,
Wait, he
yeah.
fucks the
D'Amore is
shoe.
in Larry's office, and Larry granted the finisher versus finisher match tonight. So D'Amore is like, I have another idea. How about this 3LK versus Team Canada match? We make it a hockey stick and a pole match. We put hockey sticks in all the corners. How about that?
And Larry's like, that's fucking stupid. And then Scott D'Amore's like, it'll increase the
Yeah,
buys.
Larry's like, bye.
And Larry's like, it'll increase the buys? Alright, yeah, let's do it. And you know what? Kip James will be the special referee. And Scott D'Amore's like, wait, no, what?
The classic heel gets what he wants, but doesn't get it the way he wants, which is always a good.
I loved his justification of think of how much money it's gonna make if we have him on polls.
Think of the thousands and thousands of people who are buying Genesis to see the hockey stick on a pole match.
By that logic, every match should have been it.
This is why Vince Russo was the best pay-per-view buy rate person ever, because of all of his pole matches.
The best pay-per-view buy rate person
That's
ever.
a statistical thing. It's in WrestleNomics. Brandon talks about this all the time.
Next time I talk to Brandon, I'll bring
He's
that
the
one
best
up.
pay-per-view buy rate person ever. Imagine, because if you were to actually ask that question to Brandon, he would probably think you're talking about like who drew best and not like who had the best ideas. On the pay-per-view, Tree Live Crew faced Team Canada in a 6-sided stick fight with Kip James as the special referee. They accidentally shot the wrong tunnel during Kip's entrance. They were like, Kip's coming out, music hits, camera on empty tunnel for like 15 seconds before it was like, oh, he's over the other side. So there are poles on all 6 corners with hockey sticks. The rules are that the legal man at any given moment can pull a stick down and use it. How do you feel about this as a stipulation?
It's stupid as shit.
So immediately Eric Young puts on some head protection and tries to use the hockey stick as the illegal man. Kip James takes it, snaps it, and also takes his headgear, which seems rude.
Stabbing, it's kind of...
Stabbing?
Snapping.
Oh, right. I thought you were like, he should take the...
She should have shanked Eric Young.
With the half of the hockey stick, because it's probably like jagged enough to do a decent job stabbing somebody.
Yeah, I'd give it a go.
Conan puts his shoe over the top of the hockey stick and starts ramming people with it, which I think is not very effective, but I appreciate the creativity.
He's fucking the shoe.
Three Live Crew, can you fuck a hockey stick?
Can try.
Three Live Crew hit the waz up leg drop deal they do, but truth with the split leg thing. Onto a hockey stick for the Three Live Crew win, and then Conan fist bumped BG as they're getting along now.
Wow, this is truly the bloodline.
I guess it's no longer Three Live Crew family drama. It's now a Three Live Crew all friends wrestling.
It's the Blood Live.
Because they're getting along. The Blood Live Crew? Oh no!
It's the Blood Live.
No!
Who
Why have you...
is the tribal chief?
Beware, coming for you. It's the remix. The Blood Live Crew. That is November 2005. We will be back in a week or so with the...
A million years.
Well, no, we already recorded the next Lucha Underground, so that's fine. We actually have that in the can already, so that'll go out on time. Don't worry about that. We'll also have the G1 episode of the Raintakers, and then coming up after that, we will have the Turning Point 2005 episode of You've Got to Be Kidding Me. One of the better pay-per-views in TNA history, I think. But that's coming up in the next month or so, or whenever, who knows. When Liam doesn't have weird internet failures mid-podcasts that we have to record it 3 days later.
It's been good this time. I found the 5G.
Yes.
I injected it in my brainstem, and now it's good.
Yeah, then between that and the gravity thing, you're veering down a worrying path here, Liam.
I'm just saying the things that I want you to know.
I'm just asking questions, as they always say.
I'm just asking questions, alright? And if you don't want me to ask questions, you know what that means? That means you're trying to suppress me, alright? You're trying to suppress my view and my world knowledge.
Hit the free speech.
It's my constitutional right.
People never know what free speech means. Follow us on Twitter at You've Got to Be Kidding Me. Follow me on Twitter at Garrett and Liam on Twitter at The Gleet Meter, so you can hear all his latest conspiracy theories. Follow us on YouTube at You've Got to Be Kidding Me, on TikTok at TNA History. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.
Get out of here!
That's like the opposite of Mortal Kombat.
Get out of here!